A gavel. Is this mic working? Good morning, everyone. We don't have a gavel, but we're going to start this meeting, this operational review meeting. Today is Friday, October 18th, 2024. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Griffin.
Here.
Bishop.
Here.
Canwell, Gray, Harrison, Harris, Jones, Casey.
Present.
Kelly, Moore, McCormick, Coinsett, Santana, Flag, Spencer, and Stark. Mr. Chairman, you don't need a quorum for there's no legislation.
Okay, all right, thank you. So we are here at Stella Walsh Recreation Center. We are in Ward 12. The Ward 12 councilperson, Rebecca Marr, has jury duty today, and she was called on a trial. So she actually asked me to welcome everybody to Ward 12 and welcome everybody to Stella Walsh. Joe Jones, can you actually excuse Joe Jones and Anthony Harrison? All right, Director, we're going to start with you. Can you bring your team up? So we are mic challenged. So if you guys want to, we're going to pass this mic around. If you guys want to grab that mic, you know, you can put it right here in the center, so we can kind of, whoever wants to speak, kind of pass the mic around. All right. All right. We do have members are on this way, but we're going to get started because we got a long day today. Okay. Director, you want to introduce all of your team? I'm not exactly sure if there's anybody from the public here in attendance or if this is just all city folks, but we are live on TV 20, and we do want to have everyone that's viewing on the public that's not in the room understand who's at the table. So, Director, can you go over who's at the table with us in your team?
Thank you. Thank you to the chair and to the rest of the esteemed staff. We appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today. At the table, we have our newly onboarded Director of Parks and Recreation, Ms. Alex Nichols, and I'm going to let her introduce her new staff. And of course, at the table as well as I think Johnny, Assistant Director Laird of Public Works is here as well, but I'm going to yield and let Director Nichols introduce her team.
Good morning. Thank you for having us here to discuss this operational review for Public Works as it relates to the newly formed Parks and Recreation Department. With me today, I have Susie Claytor. She is the Commissioner over Public Auditorium and Special Events. We have Commissioner Gissentanner, who is the Commissioner over Recreation Services, and we also have Toy Porch, and she is the Commissioner over Parks and Urban Forestry.
Okay. Okay. Now, what the administration of Parks and Rec? Can you speak to that, Director?
Yes. So I would just like to say that this is my third week on the job with the City of Cleveland. It is an honor and a privilege to serve the City of Cleveland and to become the new Parks and Recreation Director. I bring over 15 years of experience in leadership roles. I've served for the cities of Avon Lake and the cities of Shaker Heights. Additionally, I worked for the YMCA of Greater Cleveland and also have worked for Cleveland Metro Parks. Started my career in New York City, Parks and Recreation, way back in the 90s. So I started my career here, my tenure with the City of Cleveland 3 weeks ago. For the first few weeks, I have really taken some time to focus on understanding the role of the new Parks and Recreation Department and trying to understand the divisions that are being split out from Public Works. As I mentioned earlier, these divisions include recreation, parks, and public auditorium and special events. I've been committed to getting to know the team, and I will spend time touring facilities and getting to know everybody. The City of Cleveland recently partnered with a consultant to develop a comprehensive master plan for parks and recreation, and I've spent a significant amount of time reviewing that report so that I could familiarize myself with the needs assessment and the recommendation. This master plan will serve as a strategic roadmap as we enhance the quality of life for Cleveland residents. All of us have the same common goal of high-quality facilities, services, programs, and events. While I work with my team to implement the long-term master plan, I have a few goals that we have for 2025. First, I think it's important, since we are dividing a few of the roles out from Public Works, we need to spend some time unifying the Parks and Recreation team. We will spend time implementing the near-term goals from the master plan, those goals that they identify that need to take place in the first 2 years. And then we will work with our consultant to help guide this plan. And the last piece would be identifying operational efficiencies so that we can enhance the customer experience when people are coming to our parks, facilities, and other spaces. Every council ward has parks and recreation facilities, and I look forward to collaborating with all of you in the city, departments, neighborhood groups, and elected officials so that we can achieve our shared vision of high-quality parks and recreation facilities. Thank you.
Thank you to the chair. We are excited about the onboarding of Director Nichols. We've been working closely together, and we plan to continue to work together to make this transition as smooth as possible. A couple of notes I do want to make mention of. As we come to the end of this season, we'll be working together to refine things like equipment locations and things of that sort, but we'll always be working together and sharing things to make sure that we provide good service. And also, because we have to keep functioning as we go through winter preparations, we will be working on next spring's activities and be ready to explain to council some of the changes that we will be making for the 2025 season, whether it be in vacant lots or in areas of parks and recreation, as well as public auditorium. So again, as we make this transition, we will continue to update council as to the changes that we are making or the implementations that we do have. Park maintenance has come a long way. It's the great impact that Commissioner Porch has made since she's taken over. It has been a great impact to the environment and the culture within the department. Another highlight for the department is the promotion of Todd Alexander to Deputy Commissioner now, which is great for the team. Commissioner Porch will take us through the presentation, but I do want to make mention of her ability, and one of the things that has been really good for her that she's implemented is she really has developed a balance of being in the field and also being in the office as an administrator. I've really been impressed with her ability to do both and make sure that she has a presence that's also in the field that's impactful. And I do thank her for that and her institutional knowledge. So at this time, we're going to go through the parks presentation, and Commissioner Porch will lead the conversation. Thank you. So what we have here, through the chair to the council members, we have some historical data, not historical data, but data up through this time. In some cases, we didn't have some information. We're doing a lot better as it relates to data collection, and our goal was not to present information that was inaccurate, but numbers that were actually accurate that we could use going forward. But one of the things that I would make note of, and one of the things that we're going to be working on going forward, whether it be for parks or vacant lots, is the availability of tractors. We have been struggling over time as it relates to having enough tractors to keep up with our cycles, whether it be on the fields or in the vacant lots. So we're going to be really working with MVM to assist us with what we can do to bolster up that number going forward as we continue to matriculate through the seasons. It's one of the things that we'll be working on for next season. I'd also like to just make a mention of the great work the urban forestry group has done, whether it be through the storms, and we'll be talking about those a little later, but just in general, a very small staff, but is very aggressive as it relates to trying to do all they can, and also managing contractors as we have done throughout the season. At this time, I'm going to ask, Ms. Kipke? Oh, come on. I do want to give Ms. Kipp the opportunity to be able to speak to some of the things in our urban forestry. She's been a rock star and has really helped us along the way as we try to develop a better plan for our trees going forward. And I did just want to give an opportunity for Jennifer to speak toward the urban forestry group.
Okay. Thanks, Director. Good morning, everyone. Oh, maybe this. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, as the director said, our staff is small but mighty. So we definitely, I'm very proud of the team and their storm response. It probably took a few months to get it all cleaned up, but they just were very steadfast, really united, and just got through it one tree at a time. So I'm very proud of the work that they've done, and also bringing on the additional storm cleanup contractors. That was great. We got a lot of great feedback on the storm contractors that we were able to bring in to help with the storm cleanup in parks and cemeteries.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Jennifer. Again, we're going to continue to work to bolster and assist the urban forestry group as that group stands up over the next several months. One thing for sure, we do have a great sustainable situation now with some staffing that she's onboarded that's been very helpful recently, and also a kind of an outlook for how we can do things a little better, especially with a hopeful in the future tree canopy survey, so that we can really have an idea of really what we have out there, so that we can make capital purchases and plans for the upkeep of our trees going forward throughout the city. One of the other things that happened in, I'm sorry.
Oh, just a minute. Councilman Starr has a point. Here you go.
No, thank you, Chair, and through the chair to Urban Forestry. I just have a question regarding the tree branches on the wires that are on the tree lines. I did a ride along with First Energy last week, and we were identifying different trees, as well as lighting that was out. Some were Cleveland Public Power, and then some were First Energy. But one of the questions I had was, a lot of the trees, in particular like East 64th and Central Quincy area, there's a whole bunch of branches inside the wires. So I don't know who's responsible for tree trimming. I know the electric companies, utility companies have seasonal time periods when they do those tree trimming. So what do we do when residents are calling about that issue, when they see this maintenance up? How do we get that taken care of through the chair?
Thank you for the question through the chair to the councilman. So it really just depends on the wire. It depends on which wires we're talking about. So what type of wire it is depends on how we route that. So we either go to First Energy for line clearance or CPP for line clearance. But if it's a communication line, a cable line, a fiber optic line, that is, those are not serviced by these, those utility companies. They do not do any kind of like active vegetation management around to clear their lines. Just CPP and First Energy clear their electrical lines.
So if the lines are up, and the tree branches are interference or on the lines, that means that's not something that needs to be cleared or maintenance?
So again, it depends on the situation, but typically the electric lines, those are the ones obviously that we need to make sure that those Urban Forestry does not do that. We're there for the tree, not for the wires, just to make that distinction. Oh, okay. Well, because we're not the utility company. So the utility company is regulated, differently than we are. So they have to clear their own lines. If they're electric lines, we do not do any type of clearance. And cable and fiber optic companies don't clear their lines.
All right, so I guess they'll just stay.
But I would be happy to like
Because they-
take a ride with you if you would like, and I can actually point out the different, situations with the tree on, you said East 65th and Quincy?
No, I'll send you some pictures
That'd be great.
of all the trees. It's not just 64, I have quite a few. They're not
Okay.
just getting clean or not. Just want to know because what I'm getting to run around is utilities saying when they do it or versus when they don't do it. Then they were also mentioning talking to urban forestry, similar to like when tree lawns and trees get planted and they start damaging the sidewalks. Next thing you know, we get to run around with that. So it's just trying to get some clarification. So definitely offline, I'll talk to you. Definitely I'll loop in Director Williams as well, who always assists as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilman Stark. Director, can you continue?
Sorry, just to continue on, we have a lot of highlights and successes. One thing I want to make mention of is our cemeteries group. One of the things that council had made sure to put me on notice about was the holidays and the high traffic holidays that the maintenance would be caught up with and done, and they did a great job this season. Also with the implementation of the ability to find people in the cemeteries by way of a QR code now. So there was some great advancements in that area. We've also put together a streetscape maintenance team to start working on and maintain the streetscapes across the city. And also we'll be starting to turn into our winter prep into that group with our pruning initiatives in the parks and also snow fence installation. The Division of Park Maintenance has a few major outlooks and considerations for 2025 that'll be coming up. Is Parks has been handed and now is in ownership of the maintenance of the Opportunity Corridor. So we will be pivoting to make sure that we can keep that in great condition going forward. Parks management team is going to be receiving iPads to help communicate and manage work a lot better going forward. And we're also implementing the fleet equipment manager for the division, having someone to really be able to keep track of the equipment throughout the division and assist with the management with MVM and also with the other divisions when we need to borrow equipment or make things happen as it relates to cleanups and things of that sort. We'll move on to the Division of Public Auditorium. The commissioner is.
So just
I'm sorry.
Director, before we move on, can you talk about staffing in park maintenance? Can you talk about the staff? I'm not sure if this is on here. Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, can we talk about staffing in park maintenance? As far as, do we have any vacancies? How many was budgeted for the year? How many you have filled?
So currently, through the chair, we have 7 vacancies open, but we're requesting more additions to our team to have adequate staff for the Opportunity Corridor and for the fleet management team, which would consist of handling permits and, our special events and the fleet maintenance.
Okay, so Commissioner, at this point in the year, how many full-time employees are we are currently on board?
Currently on board, we had for park maintenance only without vacant lots.
Yes. Well, can we have the figures for both?
We're at, last I checked, we were at 168.
168?
Yes.
And the budgeted for, when we budgeted at the beginning of the year, last year, how many were budgeted for?
I don't have that number on me right now.
Okay.
I will get back with you on that.
Okay. All right. And do we have the data for, Councilman Casey has a point?
On that point real quick, and I'm not just talking to Public Works right now, but since we're starting these operational hearings, it's going to be a very hard sell this year for any department in the administration who cannot staff their current departments at the appropriate number that we budgeted for last year and then come back and ask for additional staff this year. That's going to be a very hard sell this year because that's where we're seeing a lot of transfer money coming out of. is positions that can't be filled. So if you cannot currently staff, and I'm not just talking to Public Works, if you cannot currently staff what you're budgeted with, coming to us wanting additional bodies when you can't hire what you budget for is going to be a very hard sell this year when it comes to doing the budget in early next year. I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
Understood. If I can say, our biggest issue for us would be urban forestry. We've been short in urban forestry all year. All of my other sections and all my other positions, they're fairly easy to hire, but our urban forestry section struggles a bit.
Now, how many vacancies do you have in urban forestry, and how many did we have budgeted for that department?
So we have 4, 5, is it 5 or 6, Jennifer? It's a lot.
You have 6.
1 second. Yeah, 6. We did have 4, but it went up to 6 due to retirements.
Mr. Chair, on that point.
Okay, Councilwoman Spencer?
Thank you, and let me know the best way to share equipment here. Thank you. And Mr. Chair, just for clarification, oh, there we go. Would you want members to ask questions as each division goes along? So this is the appropriate time to, all right, I'm just going to jump in.
Yes, we're going to ask questions.
So we're
at
park
per
maintenance and
division.
urban forestry. This is the time for those questions. I wanted to make a point about the vacancies within urban forestry through the chair to Commissioner Porch. By the way, really happy to hear about promotion of Mr. Alexander to Assistant Commissioner. Congratulations. All these folks are such diligent public servants for our community. Really appreciate everything you do. And, but my question through the chair is related to the vacancies in urban forestry, to the commissioner and to Ms. Kipp. It is my understanding that those are forester, primarily actually forester positions. And my question is whether compensation is the challenge with hiring and retaining those positions in particular, through the chair.
Through the chair to the councilwoman, actually those positions are arborists. Our foresters, which we have 5, were filled. So we're short on arborist 1s and arborist 2s.
And then through the chair, so arborist, why are we having the challenges with arborist 1 and 2 positions?
So we recently just had a civil service test, and while they got on the list, they failed to pass the second portion of it, which was the physical portion. They didn't pass.
So through the chair, compensation is not the issue.
Well, I feel like it may be an issue, but it's a union position, so we have no control over it. But the actual experience is also a big piece of it. So if they can't make it past that, we don't have it. So we almost keep that position up all year because we rarely have anybody on the list. We had 1 on the list for almost a year, and I was quite surprised that we got to 5. And when we got to the 5 and we did the test, they didn't pass.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, all right, thank you, Councilwoman Spencer.
Actually, I do have one more question.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. One more question through the chair to Commissioner regarding going back to Opportunity Corridor and the city taking responsibility for Opportunity Corridor. Was that an anticipated, in other words, Opportunity Corridor was built by ODOT. We knew at some point we would take it over, or was this a surprise? Okay, so this is something we've been planning for. And then through the chair, what does that actually entail when we say us taking over Opportunity Corridor? What does that mean?
So we'll be through the chair to the councilwoman, we'll be maintaining the grass and the trash and the trees. The grass, trash, and trees.
Okay. And so I know that grass is something that we do really well. It's easy, you know, that's kind of bread and butter of what we do. I know it's difficult to maintain trees on throughways, like it's a busy street. It's not a highway, but it's a very busy street. And I know we did get some grant funding for trees. So through the chair, was just curious to hear, I know there is a plan to replant on the Opportunity Corridor. I'm curious about how we are going, is there anything we can do to ensure a better survival rate than what we have had previously, through the chair?
Through the chair to the council member, thanks for the question. Yes, there's absolutely, there's many things that we can do to improve survivability along the Opportunity Corridor. And that's one of the things that I'm working on right now is you spoke to the U.S. Forest Service grant. I'm writing an RFP for the Opportunity Corridor revitalization. Thank you. A $3.4 million grant that the city of Cleveland received from the U.S. Forest Service. So it's unprecedented, very exciting. And we are, as Director mentioned earlier, we are going to also put out an RFP for a comprehensive street tree and planting site and stump inventory. We need to know, it's very difficult to manage what we can't measure. So we're going to start to, we want to establish a baseline. What do we have in the right-of-way with trees? Another part of that is, back to the Opportunity Corridor, is just a plan to get some soil testing done to establish the baseline of what the soil conditions are along Opportunity Corridor, and some root and soil decompaction, invigoration. But all that will go out in an RFP, and that is, that's the goal, is to reduce mortality and grow canopy on Opportunity Corridor.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Thank
All right,
you.
thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Casey?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Did I hear correctly, are we taking over the grass cutting of Opportunity Corridor?
Yes.
Okay, who's been doing it in the past?
ODOT.
Why are we doing it now then?
You have to. I think we have to.
Let them answer.
Because it was given to us.
It was just, are we going to charge them for maintaining their property?
I'm not sure.
Director? It's their property, correct?
It's my understanding that it is right-of-way. It was an ODOT project, but it's actually our right-of-way, and now we're responsible for the maintenance after a certain period of time. We already took over the maintenance of the actual wearing surface, but that other part typically is separate when you have vegetation and things like that, because of the planning. A lot of times those don't happen in the first season of the end of the project, so it lasts a little longer for them to maintain the shrubbery and things of that sort.
And is this, Mr. Chairman, to the director, is this something that, I'm assuming it's Parks is going to be responsible for this? Is this something additional that Parks is going to be able to keep up with and maintain, since it is such a visible piece of property that a lot of people travel, right? So at least now, when it's not maintained, we can say it's ODOT. In the future, now it's going to fall on the city of Cleveland. And is this something that, body-wise, equipment-wise, that we're going to be able to maintain?
Through the chair to the council member, as of right now, I do believe that we will need some more staffing to be able to maintain that on a regular basis. But again, we just got it, so we will kind of have to, use what we have for now, and then be able to come back to you and say, hey, we do need this, or need some additional approaches to that. As of right now, again, since we just getting in the end of the season, it's kind of hard to really project out.
And then how did this decision come about that we were going to do it?
Through the chair to the council member, I think that it predates me, that project, so I can get back to you with some background information.
Just for now, does anybody in the room know how, John, you've been here a long time. Do you know how this came about, that we're just, after 10 years, whatever it's been, that we're going to start maintaining Opportunity Corridor?
Yeah, so typically those ODOT agreements work like that, where they do the project, they use their funds to do it, but ultimately, because it's ours right away, that happens with bridges, they turn it over, this is yours, you take care of it. So we do the maintenance. Sometimes they do the capital, it just depends. In this case, we have to take care of the whole thing.
All right, sort of like I-76, Director, when that we have to maintain the snow removal off of I-76. ODOT built it, but we have to maintain it, even though it's a highway.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilman Casey. All right, a question to the commissioner. Vacant properties, lot structured service, 2024 year to date. I don't see a number here. Do we have a number or figure for that?
said, do we have, say that again, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we don't have a number for the lot structures serviced in 2024.
Yeah, there's year-to-date on there, 34,000.
34,000?
Yes.
Okay.
So to the chair, are you looking for the number of properties or the number of work orders?
I'm just looking at this graph here where it says lot structures serviced, and mine's is blank here. I'm not exactly sure if everybody else is blank on my tablet.
Through the chair to the council member, that was what I was mentioning about some data that we had to turn in our report for you for this morning, and we were validating some data. But the number to date, lot structures service was 34,803. And the number of, the lots were 34,803, and the structures 2,975.
Okay. Now, do we keep track of this data year over year?
Through the chair, that is correct. We're doing some things now internally to refine that data. One of the things is as demolitions happen and more vacant lots or structures come about, we're working to get a better process from building, housing, other areas throughout the city so that we know that they're on our roster. That becomes a bit of an issue for us each year, so we're refining those things as we're going forward, especially utilizing more of City Works for work order management.
So at this point, Director, is there a 10% increase in our lots serviced at this point for the year, or is it a 10% decrease? So we don't have that figure. That's what I'm saying. Is that what you're saying?
Through the chair, no, we don't have that figure as of yet. Again, that baseline keeps moving on us to really be able to project that out, but those are some things that we're working on in our data center right now.
Okay, another thing, tractors available. It says we have 37 available daily, and we average 52. Is there, now what's the reasoning why we can't be at our average? What are we struggling with?
Through the chair, we have an age issue in that area of the fleet. I believe we have some tractors that are as old as 1987 out there. So as you actually beat on that equipment over time, the equipment is going to go down. Also keep in mind, when we talk about these tractors, they have to be driven to the locations. They're moving throughout the city on city roadways, and they take time to get to the different locations as they're spread about. But all that wear and tear on the equipment does compound over the season, and so you typically have an arc where you start the season where most of the equipment is running and doing well for you, but you have that point, especially when we get into the hot times of the season where we have some things go down. Sometimes it's user error, but there's always some things that happen with our equipment that we'll need to have maintenance throughout the season.
Okay, all right. All right, Director, you want to continue on with through your departments. Any other questions on park maintenance? Does anybody have any other questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Councilwoman Gray.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. Morning. Good morning. The question is, this 10-member streetscape maintenance team. Could you kind of explain that in detail, how that works?
Through the chair to the councilwoman, good morning. Good. So we were approved to hire 10 additional staff members to cover the streetscapes throughout the city of Cleveland. Through that approval of staff, we were able to onboard a unit leader to cover the staff. We put 6 of them in greenhouse and 4 of them throughout our park sections who assist with covering the streetscapes. So council approved us for more hires to maintain the streetscapes. The flower beds throughout the city, extra hands for our greenhouse, council approved it, and that's what we just went through with it. Okay. It's actually working out really good. Okay. So I thank you all for that.
Well, thank you for that detail. And the reason I want to ask the question because who maintains, this question just keep coming up, with the residents in Ward 4. Who maintain the grass that's beyond of a business, near a sidewalk? say for instance, Audie's on Martin Luther King and Kinsman. You have the short grass beyond the fence going all the way on the outside. Would that be part of the streetscape maintenance?
No, Audie's should maintain that.
On the outside of the fence?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Gray.
Through the chair to Councilmember Gray, one thing that does happen a lot on private property businesses, they erect fences, but they erect fences still with grass on the outside and then don't maintain it. So a lot of time, and that happens quite a bit. Also, I just want to make mention of that streetscape team is also going to be working on medians. One of the things that many of you have reached out to me about is actually having a plan for the medians. We've talked about those on Clifton, I believe, and several of them in your ward, Al Ashwood, and also in Council Member Starr's ward. So we should be doing a lot better with that as far as next season as well.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Gray.
I do have one more question.
All right, Councilwoman Spencer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One final question regarding winter prep. It says pruning initiative in all parks. I wanted to ask the chair if this is a new initiative and what a pruning initiative entails.
Yes, through the chair, to the councilwoman, yes, it is a new initiative we started. Last year, we started a alley program along with clearing sidewalks, and during our down season, so when it's no longer snowing or when no grass is growing, we initiated a system where we can clear sidewalks. And throughout the park, sometimes throughout the season, we'll get complaints like, well, can you go deep into the area of my yard, or near my yard, near the back fence? This is the time we take care of all of that. So we're currently putting together a list of those complaints that we've gotten over the summer, and we'll try our best to get them all cleared by the next summer.
Through the chair, I want to make sure I understand. This says pruning initiative in parks, so this is not...
So in some of our parks, we have, so for example, I went to a park a couple weeks ago because a tree fell through the storm, and one of the areas that was there was a lot of brush and a lot of leaves compiled against this lady's fence. And so once the fall comes, we're able to see it clearly and get that out. So I've added that to my list. So in some of our parks, we do have areas where some of the foliage drips over into private property. So we'll be trying to clear that out. So in the summer, we can only maintain grass. That's my plan.
Okay. Thank you, through the chair. Thank you, Commissioner. And I will just say, will all parks be subject to this, or is it just sort of on an as needed? Or
no, we'll take an assessment of all parks.
Okay.
And as we continue this initiative, I'm sure it'll grow.
Thank you. All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Spencer. Is there any other questions on Division of Park Maintenance, which also includes urban forestry? All right, Director, you want to move on?
Thank you, Chair. We'll move on to the Division of Public Auditorium. Everybody knows our Commissioner, Susie Claytor, who is a staple across the city, across the country in her field. Public Works shines because of the Public Auditorium collaborative spirit. The staff rarely gets rattled when trying to put on multiple events. Just last week we had the Wine and Gold Gala. At the same time, on the other side of the wall, we were doing the firemen's promotion all at the same time, and the staff always moves and adjusts and pivots to whatever is needed. Also, special events, which is led by Tangi Johnson, does a great job in those areas. Just to make mention of a few things, we had an increase in citywide and international events at Public Auditorium. Many of you remember we did a great job with the NCAA Women's Final Four, the USA Men's Eastern National Gymnastics Championship, the Barber Shop Harmony Society Convention, American Society of Account Executives, The Cleveland NBA G League is going to be coming to the public auditorium soon, and we've also started to see an increase in paid events, 42 in 2024 so far against 35 in the entirety of 2023. Also, we had over 1,000 permits for the malls, parks, and rotunda issued in 2024, and that's up a little bit over last year, but events are still coming in at this time. Some of the highlights that we had this year, we increased our staffing a bit after ingesting some of the staff from West Side Market. An administrative manager, assistant custodial, and a building stationary engineer. One of the great events that we had that ended up being a major success was the Mayor's Back to School Fest in August. We do have a few things that we are working on in public auditorium. Enhanced the public auditorium's growth strategy is a goal. With targeted staffing, we really want to get to a place where we have someone who can actually go out and get business for the public auditorium while also having a strong customer service representative based within the building. Right now it's stretched between one person, and we think that we can do a better job if we had that task bifurcated. We want to embrace some software. We want to actually move into the 2000s with that group, and we're going to really take the time to invest in some software. We're looking at several different applications right now that we can use not only for public auditorium but for special events as well, so that we don't have two systems that may conflict with one another. We're looking to also strengthen the infrastructure capacity with staff training and things like HVAC, tow motors, and things of that sort. One of the things that we deal with is that building is very old and historic, and there are only people that are specially trained to a lot of times deal with some of the things within that building, and so we really have a tough time finding some of those journeyman folk that really do those types of work now after COVID, and now as people are not running to the trades as they used to. Councilmember Green knows those struggles that we have in some of those areas. Lastly, I just want to kind of make mention of the opportunities that public auditorium has and Commissioner Claytor's commitment to moving things forward in that group. The collaboration with other departments, divisions, other stakeholders throughout the city, the collaborations even with the Huntington Convention Center has all been led by the efforts of Commissioner Claytor, and I do appreciate it. And we yield for any questions you may have for public auditorium.
Okay, thank you, Director. Director, can you, I'm going to ask a few questions and I'm going to go to Councilman Starr. Can you give us a breakdown of the staffing? What levels are we at this point in time of the year? Do we have any vacancies and how many?
Sorry, good morning to the chair, through the chair to the council team. I do not have any vacancy per se. I did have the opportunity to increase my staff by receiving the West Side Market staff that was there. So right now I have like 11 full-time employees and about 50 plus part-time.
Okay. Now, also, I want to ask a question about the construction going on at the public auditorium for the upcoming G League league season. Where are we at in that? Is that complete, or can you speak more about that?
Sure. To the chair, the G League, which is part of the CAS NBA, they are going to have a season here at the public auditorium. Right now they are under construction. They do have about 3 of our meeting rooms that they are renovating for their offices, locker room space like that. The construction should be completed in like December, the 1st of December. We will start our first home games at the public auditorium December 13th, 14th.
Okay, December 13th?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the plan.
Okay, all right, I'm going to go to Councilman Richard Starr.
Thank you, Chair. My question will be specifically to public auditorium. I wanted to figure out through the chair, what is the actual annual budget cost for, what's actually in the budget for public auditorium overall for annual basis? Through the chair.
Through the chair to the councilman, can you repeat that? You want to know
So,
what our budget is
For
total?
the total budget for the public auditorium for you to operate annually.
Through the chair to the councilman, it's basically been about 2.7 million.
Okay, and that, through the chair, that 2.7 million is for full-time, seasonal staffing, for them to work throughout whatever time period that they are contracted out. Through the chair.
Through the chair to the councilman, that is correct.
All right, do you have a total list of how many events you host on an annual basis that happens there, such as an event that you always have every year versus events that get rented out? Through the chair.
Through the chair to the councilman, I do.
Okay, so my next question will be, what is the benefits do we have as far as our youth or organizations in our community that the city already fund to be able to use the facility for any events that they have? What benefits do they have?
Through the chair to the councilman, the public auditorium has the public hall and the music hall that are used by different community events. Some of them are charged, there is a charge. Some of them are city-based that needs to have Board of Control approval to waive the rent.
So then my question is, if we already budgeted $2 million and some change for the people to be able to work there, if our youth want to use it, why are we charging them? Through the chair.
Through the chair to the councilman, part of that is a subsidy. Public auditorium is a venue that is supposed to actually stand their own. However, we do have to have a subsidy to cover all our expenditures and the cost of to do the business, the employees.
No, the reason why I'm asking that because I'm looking to, as you know, I'm looking to host an event with Cleveland Muni League. The city of Cleveland and the city council already is funding them. And for us to charge them something to host the event there, it just doesn't make sense if we already got staff in place and they already getting paid because they already on a budget, they on a salary, charging the Muni League who's getting funded from the city to host their cheerleading competition just doesn't make sense to me. I'm just trying to get clarification. Why would we want to charge someone else that we already given money to use our facility? That's the same issues that I have with other organizations in the city, but for public auditorium's sake, where does it say that we must charge our Muni League team in the auditorium? Why?
Through the chair to the councilman, we are an enterprise unit. Therefore, we do an estimate budget based on past events that we know we're going to get. And so when we have additional events, that's additional costs. So just because we have 2.7 budget, and that's including the subsidy, the more events we have, basically, like I'm saying, we're going to have 45, just for an example of events. We may have 48, so that budget amount is going to increase because when you increase budget, when you increase events, you have to increase the budget. You have to in order to cover the cost to do the business. So it's not just a flat rate, is what I'm trying to say. Year before, it could have been 1.7 subsidy. The more events we have, especially with all these international events and more events, it's going to increase. The cost increase to do the business.
So based on, for clarification, we budget for the amount of events that you know you're going to have before they actually take place?
We estimate. Yes, I do an estimate budget.
Okay, so just for the staff, can you put on record that for our upcoming budget, we need to include hosting a certain amount of events for our youth within that? Because I just don't think that we should be charging our kids to use a public facility that's owned by the city of Cleveland. That just sound like making them fundraise, get additional money to be in something that they are a resident, that their parents pay taxes for. That just seemed like it doesn't make sense. That's equivalent to coming here saying, hey, we want to host a banquet here at Stella Walsh, and then Commissioner Gizentanner talking about something, well, it's going to cost you X amount of dollars to host a banquet here. Where you say, no, that facility that he has done, they say, hey, this will be open for that. We make an adjustment because staff already on payroll, just make an adjustment to help to be a support of the community. It's almost seem as if we can't allow our residents, our kids, to get something, get a chance to get exposed to something that is great, unless they have to be a part of organization that's paying. So I just definitely want to put that on record, staff. I would be looking forward to making sure we include that, to have a certain number amount of events that's in the budget that is not coming with a cost for our different nonprofits that's working with our youth to get a chance to use public auditorium. And I yield, Chair.
All right, thank you, Councilman Starr. Councilman Case.
Thank you. Commissioner Claytor, first of all, thank you very much for being fully staffed. We appreciate that. Second question through the chair to the commissioner is, when the G League moves over to public auditorium, on game day, there's a lot more than just our staff, right? There's security, there's concessions, there's ticket takers, there's everything that goes along with a game day. Who's, Mr. Chairman, to the commissioner, who's going to be responsible for game day operations, the day of staffing of the games?
Through the chairman to the councilman, it's going to be a collaborative effort because the G League has their security. I have, Public Auditorium has their security that will be the perimeter guards. The G League has their own ticket sellers, ticket takers, which is the same union that they have at the Rocky Mortgage Fieldhouse, same union that we'll have at the Public Auditorium. So there is a cost for the labor, for the services. When there's a game day, we're going to treat it like any other event other than what, you know, the budget, the agreement that the city has with them. But they're going to be charged for the labor services that Public Auditorium will provide.
So, and thank you for that. Mr. Chairman, to the commissioner, but are we responsible for hiring any additional staff, no matter what it is for, ushers, concessions, anything like that, for game day?
Through the chair, through chairman to the councilman, we are going to be responsible and we're going to treat the G League just the same as we would any other event. I want to make one thing clear. I do have 11 full-time employees, but based on the needs of each event, I have to have my part-time employees to come. So let's say that I am going to need additional labor force to help set the chairs and things, excuse me, even though they don't work every day for me. When there's an event, they're on my number 2 payroll, and I bring those guys in.
Okay, I understand that. Mr. Chairman to the Commissioner, let me try asking it like this. Who's going to be responsible for paying the people who are working on game day? What I'm trying to figure out is the city going to make money having the G League there, or is it going to cost us money, right? I mean, are we responsible for the ushers? Are we responsible for the concessions? I mean, that's what I'm trying to, I understand we have our employees. But the city of Cleveland has a hard time hiring any additional anything, okay? We know that, not just you, but across the board. Are we going to be able, is it the city's responsibility to staff the game days?
Through the chairman to the councilman, yes.
Okay, so
the city will be responsible, but also the G League has their staff as well. They have their own security. As far as the concession stands, Levy is our exclusive caterers. They will have to go through Levy's, okay, and we will still get our 16% gratuity for, yes, 16% gratuity for them. As far as the ushers, the G League will have their own ushers. We will just maintain, like I said, our security and our labor staff.
All right, whatever's okay. So I think the answer to my question is that the NBA or the G League or the Cavs or whoever are going to bring their own people over for game day operations.
Through the chairman to the councilman, some.
For the most
We're in
part.
a collaboration.
What I don't want to get into is, I don't want it to get into a game and then all of a sudden the G League comes back to us and says, you didn't have enough employees, we didn't sell this. You know what I'm saying? I just want to make sure that we're covered, right? And we know that getting employees in the city of Cleveland's not easy, so I just want to make sure that, we're not going to embarrass ourselves with the G League coming in because we aren't able to have enough people employed there to make sure that the game day operations run as smoothly as possible. I really want us to shine when it comes to this, and I just want to make sure that we're not doing anything that's going to end up with egg on our face because we don't have enough employees.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilman.
Is the public auditorium an enterprise fund?
We are.
So it is an enterprise fund.
Through the chair to the council member, I just want to add that we do make sure to have backup plans in place for labor throughout the department. Our municipal service laborers we can pull from other places when we do run into issues at public auditorium or in any event that we have throughout the city. We typically will have MSLs on standby to assist in those areas, to your very point.
And I just believe that this is very big for the city.
Absolutely.
To move them into public auditorium, to move them downtown. I won't comment about people leaving downtown, but to move them downtown, right? Even though it's a G League, it's still a minor league team. It's just like we have the Monsters who play downtown, right? This is our opportunity to shine and to put public auditorium possibly, on the path forward to being back on the map, right? And I just want to make sure that everything is covered to the point where no one's going to be able to say, we can't do it because, and then it falls back on us. And I don't want to see that happen. So that's why I'm bringing it up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilman Casey. Is there any other questions on public auditorium? Director, are you done with your public auditorium presentation?
Sure.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, let's move on.
All righty. We are at the point for our Division of Recreation, and everyone knows Commissioner Sam Gisson-Tanner, who loves the kids. He is doing such a great job with so many programs and so many initiatives that he has implemented and worked with throughout the season. And I'm going to turn it over to him so he can present to you the 2024 approach.
Morning, Chairman, Committee. Division of Recreation consists of 21 recreation centers, 1 cultural arts center, 1 residential camp, 20 outdoor pools, and we staff 26 playgrounds during the summer. We do all permits for all ball fields, tennis courts, soccer fields. Just a little highlight about programming with the Division of Recreation. This summer we operated 17 outdoor pools. It was a challenge receiving lifeguards. However, we were creative in making a schedule where all communities' pools were in operation. So outdoor pools were operating from Wednesday through Sunday, 11:30 to 8. Indoor pools were closed during Wednesday through Friday and open on Mondays and Tuesdays. So there was no community without an outdoor pool. Soccer program compared to previous years, 240 children participated in 2024 to 238. Not much of a big increase, but it was successful. Flag football program, 701 youth participated, 564 outdoor. Overnight camp, 394. That number is low. My target for overnight camp is 100 kids per week for the entire 10 weeks. The challenge we're having with overnight camp, to be transparent, is the conditions of the cabins. The administration is working on addressing those concerns, but that number is considerably low to my standards. Tennis program, 152 participants. The Cultural Arts Department and the Division of Recreation, 9,800 visits during the summer. show wagon. I'm sure everyone at this table has had an opportunity to see the show wagon. Our young kids performing. We had 20 performers this past summer, 3,721 viewers. Some of the highlights, I believe I've shared before that I have, over my 13 years sitting in the commissioner chair, I've developed a relationship with all of our sports teams. And the Cleveland Browns, I approached them about doing renovations at Collinwood Sports Complex, and they have considered to pick up the entire tab of renovating the Cleveland Brown, the Collinwood Sports Complex field. So that is a win for the city. Partnership with the Cavaliers on youth basketball clinics. We had a pilot summer day camp. Because of the challenges that we had with the overnight camp, we understand that not only the conditions of the cabins was a factor, but we also knew that parents was kind of reluctant to have their kids stay overnight. So we created a day camp where we picked up kids from key neighborhoods throughout the city and brought them out to the camp for the entire day of camp. So they participated in programs just like any other camper, and we took them back at the end of the business day. Implemented a new Civic Rec software, which is a cloud-based software to allow our customers to be able to engage with recreation activities, permits, and register for programs while they're sitting on their couch. So no need to come into the rec center to register for programs. You can do it right from your home. Okay, increase in staffing. We did go, I don't know if that slide is on there, Director, let me see. Increase in staffing for 2024, we increased 8 junior clerks, 9 full-time rec instructors, and 31 seasonal carryovers. The 31 carryovers was because we were down, or we're currently still down, 22 full-time rec instructors. So the Division of Recreation as of today is down 22 full-time rec instructors. The challenge with retaining full-time rec instructors are the hours of operation, 11:30 to 8, Saturday operations 9:30 to 6, and we're competing with pay. So that's a challenge.
Mr. Commissioner, can Councilman Stark get a point?
Absolutely.
Yes, to the chair, to Commissioner Gissitaner, when you say pay, what is the average, or what's the actual pay rate for a full-time rec instructor?
$19.
Starting off at $19?
Yes, sir.
And compared to that, other recreation centers or Northeast Ohio, do they have that competitive same pay?
Through the chair to the councilman, it is sort of competitive. However, we're talking about the city of Cleveland, and we're talking about the challenges that our rec instructors face every day. They are public-facing employees, and when these kids come in with their baggage, they have to deal with that baggage. So that is a challenge.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Stark. Now, Commissioner, you're giving us these numbers with vacancies with the rec instructors. Is that in the? I don't see that in the tablet. Is that in the presentation?
I don't believe, through the chair, I don't believe that the vacancies were in the presentation. This was just my own personal notes to share.
Okay, what about the vacancies for lifeguards? How many are we? How many are we short?
Yeah, to the chair, physical directors, which are full-time lifeguards, we're down 10. We're budgeted for 20. We have 10 on payroll. Part-time lifeguards, we're down 7.
Okay, so we cannot staff all of our rec centers with lifeguards all at the same time?
To the chairman, that is correct.
Okay, and basically half our rec centers are without lifeguards?
Through the chair, that is correct. However, we have a creative schedule to allow for all available pools to be open. It may not be open Monday through Saturday, but we want to make sure that we're providing services through all neighborhoods.
Okay, all right, go ahead. All right, continue.
Future outlooks for the Division of Recreation, we are transitioning to SROs, which is school resource officers. The current vendor, Safe Choice, we have some challenges with that vendor providing security in all of our recreation centers. So we have, we're positioning to go to SROs, which is more customer friendly, more engaging with the youth, more of a, instead of an authority figure, they're more in tune with that community needs and assessments. So that's where we are today with our security and recreation centers. Full-time staffing at the centers, full custodial staffing at rec centers. In 2025, the Division of Recreation will be in sole control of custodial staff at rec centers. Today, we partner with property management to provide custodians in our recreation centers. The benefit of having total control of the custodians in recreation is direct supervision. So now that site manager will be able to supervise directly that custodian. So when you walk into a facility, if there's some challenges, then we have someone that we can point that finger to directly at that site. All right. The council, which I applaud, approved 11 custodial workers. We are in the process of doing the hiring. So in 2025, the Division of Recreation, for a 6-day operation, will have a total of 34 custodians. That will cover operations from the time we open at the 8 sites that have early morning programming and also Saturday operations.
Okay, Commissioner, so you're saying that the custodials that we put in the budget is not hired at all? We're still looking to hire them?
They're in the process of being hired, correct, right now, yes.
Okay, and you're going to hire 11 and 24?
No, we're hiring 11 now.
Okay.
And then in 2025, those custodians that are at property management will be transferred over to the Division of Recreation.
Okay.
So we will have sole control of operation with custodians.
Okay. Now, these custodials, are they both inside and interior and exterior? Do they handle issues in the interior and the exterior of these centers?
To the chairman, no. These custodians will be strictly interior. Okay. Exterior grounds are handled by our partners, the parks.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. Continue.
Next, as far as a future outlook, implementing of fees of our ball fields. Today, League Park and Collinwood Sports Complex is the only ball fields that have a fee base. When residents come in and they want to use one of our ball fields, naturally they don't want to go to those sites because they will have to pay a fee. So what we're looking at in the future outlook is to have fees across the board for all of our synthetic turf fields. So that will be something that we're targeting for 2025.
Okay, Commissioner, well, this might be a question for the director. Going back to the security at the rec centers, and we mentioned security, school resource officers. And now a school resource officer is what? Is that a private duty security, or is that what is a school?
Yes, Chairman, SROs are a private entity for us providing security in schools today. We want to have that incorporated inside of our recreation centers. It gives us more, I would say they will have more flexibility of engaging the youth and also the families and the communities in that particular neighborhood.
Are they armed?
Yes, they are.
Okay. But they're not a law enforcement officer?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, Director, it was some contention last year at the budget table about the companies that was providing us services, and we increased the budget, correct? And can you speak to that and where we are with that? And how much money has been spent, and how much money do we anticipate spending into 2024?
Through the chair to the council, to the chair, sorry. Nothing has changed in that regard. What we're trying to do is to be able to cover all of the recreation centers on a regular basis. Is utilize school resource officers because there's a bigger pool of them to be able to cover the actual rec centers. We're hoping with our RFP that we will have the ability to cover the rec centers, but also the pools at the same time by splitting up the type of classification of officers that we use. But we are working on the RFP now. If you recall, we came back and asked for a 90-day extension to that current contract so that we could get this new RFP out, and we're preparing that now to go out. But the cost won't change. It is just hopefully using a different approach is going to give us more coverage due to the shortages of actual police officers across Northeast Ohio.
Okay, so to clarify, a school resource officer is independent. They're not a company that we hire, a security company. They are independent individuals that's providing security to the city.
To the chairman, no, this is your question is, are they a group that's providing a service to the city of Cleveland? Yes. This is not individuals.
Oh, okay, so they're not affiliated. So the resource officer here at Stella Walsh will not be affiliated with the resource officer at Earl B. Turner. Is that what I'm hearing?
To the chair, currently we don't have SROs in our recreation centers. We have actual police officers.
Okay.
So we're transitioning from the police officers to SROs.
Okay. So the SROs, we're going to hire them individually. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is the company that we're dealing with that's going to provide the service, SROs, will have an individual at each one of our recreation centers. They will not be They will not be sharing SROs.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Mr. Chair, on that point.
All right, Council President.
Yes, sir. Through the chair, are these going to be school resource officers that are currently in CMSD schools or other schools?
Through the chair, we're actually RFP right now on the out in the street to find out if we're going to be going through schools or outside independent.
Okay, because the reason I'm asking that is it would be a good thing if you're hiring school resource officers, let's say, that work at John Adams, and then you're going to hire them part-time or something in the evening to work at Earl B. Turner. So I'm trying to understand if that's the kind of scenario that you hope to accomplish.
Well, through the chair to the councilman, that will create a challenge for us because operational hours are 12 o'clock to 8 o'clock. So if that SRO is at John Adams, they won't be able to be at that recreation center during those early hours.
So I'm trying to drill down into the chair's questions a little bit more about who and what type of school resource officers these are. And the reason why is because school resource officers in schools, CMSD, are, I think it's only 11 of them armed that are allowed to be armed, or they might have even gotten rid of that because the sheriff gave them their commission. And those resource officers are assigned to CMSD. So I'm trying to find out, where are you drawing from this pool of school resource officers? Where are they coming from? And I know you said you're doing an RFP, so is this just means that you're just going to get a private security company and the type of description that you want is a background in school resource officers? Because I think that's what everybody's trying to get clarification.
Through the chair to the councilman, yes, what we're putting out on the street is to identify who can provide SROs to recreation facilities. So if it's the company that's dealing with the schools today and they want to put in a proposal for it, we will entertain that.
All right, Mr. Chair, just for clarification, I think what's really misleading is saying school resource officers. You're saying school resource officers that you want to put in rec centers, but there's no direct tie of where you're drawing from a pool of people who are actually school resource officers. So you might just want to say you're trying to hire private security, because that's what it sounds like. Because the school resource officers that most people envision are people who actually provide security in schools. I think it's a good idea, but it's a little bit misleading, because if you're saying school resource officers, then what pool of people actually have either a private company or individuals, as the chair was saying, that you're going to pull and draw from these school resource officers?
Through the chair to the councilman, no, the criteria for SROs is what we're targeting. So it won't be just a private company that's providing security. We want to make sure that they have the qualifications that an SRO have today in schools.
Okay, I think it's still a little bit misleading. Why don't you just call them recreation officers? You're saying schools, and you're saying you want the qualifications. I'm understanding what you're saying is you want the job descriptions to be exactly what they do as school resource officers. And you're basically mirroring that job description that they use for CMSD or anywhere else for school resource officers, but you want that type of service in the rec centers.
That's correct.
Okay. The point that I'm trying to make is it's misleading, and you're going to run into this question a lot if you're saying schools, because To your point, exactly. If they're going to be at John Adams, then how are they going to be at the rec centers? And that's, that's kind of the clarification I think everybody's trying to get.
Through the chair to the council president, we do take that under advisement. I do believe we've been using the SRO as more of a classification more than a point at the schools, but we do understand what you're saying, and we will revise that as we prepare to put that RFP out.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, is there any other questions? Are there any questions for the rec centers? Councilwoman Spencer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Yes, I do want to take advantage of having the conversation with Commissioner Gissentanner at the table. Just wanted to first recognize Division of Recreation for the many collaborations over the year. My office has collaborated with Cadell Rec, Zone Rec. Appreciate those staff members very much. And also wanted to thank for the gun violence prevention work this week. That was very impactful. I had a couple of questions, Mr. Chair, through the chair to the commissioner. Actually, one is more of a comment related to outdoor pools. I had Lake Pool in Ward 15 was not open this year, but for a good reason, which was that the surrounding park was under construction. I want to be on the record today stating that I would like Lake Pool to be the opening celebration event for next pool season. On the record, through the chair.
Through the chair to the councilwoman, we would definitely take that under advisement.
Okay, thank you. The second is actually a real question through the chair, which is related to, I think the change to civic rec is a pretty big change. It's a big deal in terms of transitioning to how we, I think, I'll just say that for my part, I think we as council members probably need to educate ourselves more about how to use civic rec so we can tell the public better how to use civic rec. So maybe that's a follow-up item for our staff. It could be newsletter content that could be shared with our council communications team that we can put in our newsletter, stuff like that, because it's very new. It's still very brand new. And the reason I bring it up specifically, sorry, I actually didn't get to my question yet, but the reason I bring it up specifically is because it's also related to the Cadell Fine Arts, and it was referred to here as City of Cleveland Arts. Councilman Kelly and I have an embarrassment of riches because we have Cadell Fine Arts right there on the border of our 2 wards. And, I know that Cadell Fine Arts is now included in Civic Rec, but I also want to say oh my gosh, this really isn't a question. I apologize. I want to say for the good of the order that, well, okay, here's the question. In addition to Civic Rec, will the print guides still continue to be printed? So that is a question through the chair.
Through the chair to the councilwoman, yes, they will be.
Then what I want to state is, for whatever reason, Cadell Fine Arts has never been woven into those publications. I don't know why that is. It's kind of siloed, and it's not in them. So I would just say, as we continue to lean into this integration with Civic Rec, making sure the arts programming is included, can we please include Cadell Fine Arts in the print publication as well? And then, again, follow-up question, can we please be better educated as a council about how to use Civic Rec and how we can help inform educate our residents about how to use Civic Rec?
Through the chair to the councilwoman, absolutely. We can tackle all those points.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilman. Thank you, Councilwoman Spencer. I'm going to go next. I'm going to go to Councilman Danny Kelly.
Thank you. Is it on? Thank you. Through the chair. First of all, thank my lady Spencer for bringing that up, and I appreciate you taking attention to it. A couple of things. I know you've been challenging with the lifeguards, and I know we've dealt with each other, especially for Halloran. I just want to make sure that before the summer comes up, maybe we can get together again and see what we can do with the schools or some other things, because at Halloran it's been a big problem. I have a lot of daycare centers there, and you have teachers show up with 20 kids, and maybe when you only have enough lifeguards, so many can get in, and all their kids can't get in, so then none of them get to go. So, and I get them calls every day, you know, and I realize it's a challenge, but I'd like to dive in a little bit to see maybe we can together figure that out. The other thing is what they call the kiddie pool there. Maybe I can get some sort of report. That was down quite a bit last year. For a little bit for lifeguards, but for other mechanical reasons, it just seemed like it was down a little too much for my residents. So I'd like to, before that opens, let's talk about what we need to do, if there needs to be any money appropriated or what needs to be done over there. But that was down besides the lack of lifeguards as well, and it was a lot of frustration for my residents there.
Chair to the council, yes, absolutely. We make sure you're informed of all closures of pools and the efforts that we're putting forth to try to get our lifeguards.
Okay, the other thing with the council president had said about the SROs, I know you're going to put something out for a company there, but possibly in the summertime, some of them school SROs may not be working at their schools. They may be off. And I think it'd be a great idea because these officers do have a relationship with our students. If there's a possibility, if you don't go through CMSD and you go through another contractor, that you can apply to them to, you know, we are going to have some of our people apply for you and they do know the students. I think the relationships are, you know, top of the list when it comes to dealing with it. Other thing, you had mentioned that you're going to have more SROs because I know they're in the rec centers, but I don't really ever see them at the pools. So what is your thoughts on you're going to be able to maybe have them look at both? If you can explain that a little to me, please.
Yeah, through the chairman to the councilman, the idea is to make sure we cover recreation centers and pools. So we're looking, that RFP is to make sure we have enough officers for all operations.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Chair. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilman Kelly. Councilwoman Gray?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. First, I want to say congratulations, Ms. Nichols. Appreciate it. Secondly, I just want to make a statement to Commissioner Gastatino and Capital Projects of developing Zelma George and all the great things that we're going to be incorporating in Zelma George. Much appreciated. Long time coming. If you're not aware of it, we're getting the boys and girls locker room. We got the exercise equipment and padding. We're getting carpeting, definitely. We also are going to be taking care of that water flush. You know that water drainage is coming into the track. They also put in new karate equipment at Hamilton and padding. And also we got the basketball court at Woodland, and also the roofing and the HVAC. So I am very pleased, and the residents of Ward 4 are very pleased with all the improvements that is coming to all the recs in Ward 4. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to the team.
All right. Thank you, Councilwoman Gray. That conclude?
Yes.
All right. Councilman Richard Starr.
I swear I understand the administration now when they come to the table passing the mic down. I understand now. It's real. Thank you, Chairman Bishop, for this committee, first for hosting it in the community here at one of our recreation centers. Thank you, Commissioner Gisseltaner and Director Nichols for being able to make this happen, as well as, well, oh, it's not your department no more. I'm sorry, Director Williams. But no, definitely welcome. I have a depth passion. I know we're supposed to get together, but once you know, as a council member, something comes up in the neighborhood, so we haven't got to sit down yet. I definitely look to sit down with you and Commissioner Gisseltaner to figure out how we can give more love. I believe historically we have not invested in our recreation centers as far as maintenance, as far as safety, to the best of our ability, but also the programming. I think some of the challenges that we have go align with some of the things that Commissioner Gisseltaner said. Yes, we work that second shift. The hours is tough. I did it for 16 years, so I know how that goes. But then obviously the pay, and then obviously dealing with a lot of the issues in the community that you take home by being a rec instructor or a staffer, because those kids and those people become like your children. So I think we need to look at different things in the budget to make sure we have more funding for programming, for things that they need. So with the little scraps that they are getting, I think Commissioner Gisseltaner does the best he can to make sure each recreation center get the activities that the community wants, as well as the staff, as well as the children. But I think we need to be able to get more funded in there. I believe when our recreation centers are open, those are the opportunity to have our safe environment for our kids. So I look forward to sitting down with you, Director Nichols, for joining our team. Something I definitely wanted to make sure I had clarification. I'm not going to go more in depth. I know Council President talked about the security, school resource officers. But one of the things is, right now we currently have the police officers inside of our rec centers, and right now we're paying a cost for them to be there out of the budget that was put into the recreation budget through the chair, to make sure I'm correct.
That is correct.
And one of the things I want to try to streamline things. And what I mean by that is we have 22, 23 recreation centers.
21 sites.
21 sites.
Security.
We got 21 sites, and we got almost a class of 34, 35 new police officers coming through. So definitely I want to make sure I make this point, so Council President can possibly help me out with this. If we got police officers that's already in the budget through a safety budget, how do we streamline or make a process happen where these officers work inside of our recreation centers as part of a shift, so therefore we can start thinking about the money that we are paying to these police officers or security officers to become something that we could do for program? Because if we're talking about money, it seems as if we have a $230 million budget for safety, but then when we turn around and need police officers in our recreation center, we got to add more money to the recreation budget in order to hire police to come into our recreation center, when we should be having them do that type of work. If you look at it from the logistics of what we're doing, we already put our police officers on 12-hour shifts. So if you're talking between 11:30 to 8 o'clock, they should be able to at least work 11:30 to 8 o'clock inside of our recreation centers, and whatever 4 additional hours they need to do, they could do that in the morning, administrative work or anything. It just doesn't make sense to me, and I want to put that point to the Council President and to our staff, that the money that is costing, I would like to know the actual cost that we have for our security or police detail that is added to the budget of recreation, for that to be reallocated for actually programming, and then pull the funding or the resources from the safety department to say, we want our police officers, especially ones coming out the cadet, to be required to work into the recreation, 21 of them, for an 8-hour shift, as well as possibly coming up with the rotation or anything before they even get out there. We all talking from our residents that they want to see police officers. They want them in the community. You can find out everything you need in our recreation center. You get our young children, you get our adults, you get everything. But then you bring a police presence as part of their role. So I definitely wanted to just put that out there for something we have to do. Definitely I want to commend Commissioner Gisler-Tanner for the work that we do. Me and him have a roller coaster relationship, but it's always in with positivity because we think about the kids first. So, but definitely, but me and him understand what it takes to help our kids. So definitely, I want to put on the radar for Director Nichols. We got to get Lonnie Burton pool open. I've been working with MOCAP to figure out what we can do. One of the main things they said, they've had people go in to figure out why the pool is leaking, but they just really can't figure it out. It's been about 2 years we haven't had the pool open, but we got to get that pool open. We got a lot of investment going into Lonnie Burton with almost $8 million of renovation and upgrades, new playground, new basketball courts are up and running. We're looking to do some different add-ons to the Dwayne Broder field with an actual fence, so we allocated some different funding from Ward 5 to be able to get that field, so we secure it, so we ain't have to keep redoing the maintenance. We have some theft going on with the metal and steel scrapping over there, so I'm proud to be able to work with Commissioner Gisler-Tanner to get that done. But also to the standpoint of one of the parks I want to put on your radar, Commissioner Gisler-Tanner, Grant Park off of Central. One of the residents mentioned at one of my community meetings they didn't recall if that was on this summer, so I told them I'd just let you know, and I know you'll work to make sure that doesn't happen if it is or not. So I just wanted to put that out there, but I definitely want to say thank you all for the work that you do. Working in recreation, working in that service component with our families is not an easy job. So whatever we can do to make sure we get all of the staffers in there, I'm willing to partner with you to make sure we have enough staff. But I just want to say thank you, appreciate the work that we're doing. Let's continue to work.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Stark. Council President, you have a point?
Thank you, Councilman Starr, for bringing that up, and that actually brings me back to the point of what we're trying to clarify. What I believe you guys are trying to do is move away from that heavy law enforcement and presence in the rec centers and try to have more folks that are equipped to engage with these young people and have relationships with these young people, which is why I was asking where you were drawing that pool from. Because Councilman Starr is right. You can find out anything you want to in the rec centers, and that's what we're trying to find out. We're doing that. Then, Councilman Starr, that's a conversation we could have, but if I'm reading the tea leaves right, it's just me reading the tea leaves, we're short officers.
That's correct.
And those officers need to be out in the streets on shifts. So because the officers might need to be in the streets on shifts, they're trying to find another resource. But his point is very good. What amount of money are we spending towards that? Is this going to cost us more or less? And as a council, is this something that we think is comfortable, even though that they're going to be armed and everything else? We do want to make sure that our children are safe and that we understand the kind of job description that they have, because he brings up some good points about how much money are we spending on that, and if we need to redirect dollars. That's what this whole conversation around operations is for. So if you can clarify that a little bit more, that'd be helpful.
Through the chair to the councilman, absolutely. I think we spend right now a little over $2 million on our security. And again, that current vendor has been reluctant to provide a fully executed contract of putting officers in all of our recreation centers and pools. So I hear you when you're talking about SROs. Maybe we just need to drop the S and just say resource officers. I hear everybody at this table, you know, but we want to make sure that the classification of officers that we're engaging is those that are community-based. Want to make sure they, you know, touching base, having conversation with kids and families and providing that service in our facilities.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Council President. Councilwoman Spencer.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I had one more question I wanted to ask through the chair related to capital improvements at recreation centers. I know that there are some that are upcoming. I believe we may have a record of it, but could we, through our staff, through the administration, get a copy of the capital improvements that are planned? I think Councilwoman Gray referenced some, and I know that some are planned at Councilman Kelly's rec center, Cadell Rec. But I think that would be very valuable to see what are the capital improvements at recreation centers that are already budgeted for in this year's capital budget.
Through the chair to the councilwoman, we'll make sure we get you that complete list from MOCAP.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you, Councilwoman. Is there any other questions on the recreation, Division of Recreation? Commissioner, I hope I don't put you on the spot, but and I hope you know this question I'm getting ready to ask. Can you give us just a brief synopsis of who Stella Walsh is?
You put me on the spot. You put me on the spot. You educate me. I'm not sure exactly on the history of Stella Walsh.
Okay. Well, she has a plaque over there in the building, and actually, when I saw it and I came out of the restroom, I didn't have a chance to read it, but I was just wondering who actually Stella Walsh is to Clevelanders, because a lot of times we say Stella Walsh, but we don't know Stella Walsh. We don't know who Stella Walsh is.
Just very briefly, Councilman. So Stella Walsh was an Olympian sprinter that actually was one of the first people from Cleveland that actually won gold medals in the Olympics. Okay. And she's of Polish descent, and actually was a person who has background in this neighborhood.
Okay. All right. Great. So we all know who Stella Walsh is
today.
You know, I just want to say this. I want to thank the Division of Recreation, and I want to thank Commissioner, our new director. A lot of times, you know, the reason why I chose to have this meeting here at Stella Walsh is because Clevelanders, when they draw opinion of the city of Cleveland, is when they walk in our recreation centers, is when they call the police and the officer shows up and how the officer treats them. When the fire department shows up, they get a image of the city of Cleveland. when our garbage collectors come down the street and collect our garbage, those are all instances where folks form the opinion of the city of Cleveland. So I wanted to bring our public officials, our departments here in our building so they can understand how Clevelanders see the city of Cleveland. That's just my main reason for having this here. And so Director, you want to move on to the next division? Sure.
Thank you.
You got to do that. Nah, we moved to everybody. Supposed to staff this and like all the staff for the health department. It's not supposed to be all of them, but it's open.
Through the chair, to the council.
Please, if everybody, if they want to do a little chatting, can you step out in the hallway and chat so we can continue on with the meeting? Okay, go ahead, Director.
Thank you. We'll be moving on with our Department of Public Works, whether it would be going forward, starting with the Director's office. But first, I want to make sure that, to reiterate, we have a definite focus on people, as I mentioned when we first started, but this is now my second full season, so now I'm able to extrapolate a lot of information and actually start developing some visions for how we'll move forward in perpetuity. But one of the things that I want to make sure that we make note of is we've made a big advancement in our people and training and empowering and supporting the staff. You'll see examples of this in all the divisions. One of the things that we're working on from a process perspective is implementing technology, demoing equipment, getting better at our data, and a commitment to safety and training. Also with the services that we provide and how we connect with the residents as it relates to data visualization, and enhanced communications, whether it be internal or external. Every division, which you'll see, has made some significant strides, and we still have a ways to go, but we've made some significant strides all the way throughout this season. In most cases, we've trended in the right direction. Here on this slide, what you'll notice is our injuries and claims, and if you notice, we're trending in a good direction on these in this area. I'm working with Commissioner Scott in the Streets Division to take a look at the increase this year in 2024. But overall, as you can see, in most cases, we are trending down as it relates to injuries. I'd also make mention of, from a larger perspective, MVM must be commended with their multitude of contracts. If you notice there, we have 134 departmental contracts, but MVM holds 39 of them, 39 different contracts, which means there's a lot of interaction with vendors, a lot of relationships that have to be maintained, and it's really a great thing to look at with MVM maintaining these relationships. No matter where I go throughout the country to conferences or to meet with vendors for equipment, everyone has such a great response when they hear that I'm from Cleveland and they know Commissioner Brown and his staff, Commissioner Kushner, and all the staff in the MVM groups. Same as for streets and property management. And parking, we have some great relationships with vendors across the board. I rarely get an issue with one of our contractors or consultants that we use. The Director's Office and Administration staffing, if you permit me, we probably will touch base again over the next few weeks. We're still going through the process of extrapolating staffing for the new Department of Parks and Recreation, and then balancing the vacancies and things of that sort. What you'll find overall is, in most cases, the new Department of Public Works took the hit as it relates to any vacancies to make sure Director Nichols would have room to be able to pick some staff that she would prefer and have those opportunities to fill some of those vacancies on her sides for them to keep going. So for the most part, we were pretty flat as it relates to staffing in the director's office. I also mentioned the director's office, some highlighted successes. We created an internal data analytics group, and we're still building that out, hoping to add a GIS analyst into that whole division there. And also, we've started a project specialist development program, or a project specialist cohort. One of the big things for me is to be able to start helping the next generation of public servant leaders. What happens so often is people retire or attrit with so much information in their heads, and then you have staffing that are left behind trying to figure it out. And so what I've done is our project specialists that are here today, I did want to bring them so that you could meet them. Ms. Stacy Novak, Sarah Contos Holden, awesome. Ms. Cara Whitley. Kara, I'm sorry, I do that all the time, I'm sorry. And also Ms. Grace Harrison. There she is in the back.
Director, you got to get it right. You gotta get those names.
I know, man. You got 1,000 folk, man. It's a lot. I try. One of the toughest things about being a public servant is making sure that every classification gets the investment that they deserve. And so what we're really working on is trying to prepare these groups throughout the department to get them ready for the different things that the public service sector can provide with us. So we were able to get Grace from CASE. She's a new graduate from CASE and doing a great job for us. Kara is working on her master's degree. Stacy is bringing the communication skills of 20 years as an educator to our group, and Sarah is in my office learning legislation and helping with those things, with contract management and things of that sort. So we're really moving, and I'm very proud of this group as well. Also, what was developed in our office was a Office of Support Services that we meet regularly to support the not only my office, but also the offices for all of the divisions, respectively. Some of the things that we're working on for future considerations is a department-wide active shooter training. We're working through that. The streets and the admin section has already been through that. We're working through a proposed community engagement initiative in which Ren Brumfield will be coming up to speak on that. Sustainability in City Hall is another initiative that we are working on, and also departmental-wide training initiatives. We've sent folk to the Ohio Certified Public Manager training, which consists of a Public Management Academy, a Leadership Academy, and we're also sending 2 cohorts to the Lean Ohio Boot Camp at Cleveland State here in October and November. Also just making mention of the fact that we're bringing vacant properties into the director's office so that I will be able to set this program up and move that forward. And I didn't want to drop that on a new director, so we're bringing that into my office for 2025. I do plan to circulate and work with Council Member Bishop to let him know the changes that we plan for 2025, but that will be after we get through preparation. Yeah. I'm sorry. Sure. I'm sorry, I lost track of where I was. But first, I want to bring Ren Brumfield to the table to explain some things about our proposed community engagement initiatives and sustainability in City Hall.
Thank you, Director, and through the chair, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. All right, so we have developed the idea of a Department of Public Works community engagement program that would support neighborhood groups that are organizing local efforts to behind education, beautification, and litter cleanup. These projects encourage residents to have more personal investment in the upkeep of their neighborhoods, which leads to increased participation in the city's waste reduction programs. and improves the city's overall appearance. So Keep America Beautiful, this organization has an aim to help people to improve recycling, to beautify public spaces, to end littering, and to restore and support resilient communities. A Keep Cleveland Beautiful affiliate of that could take advantage of the expertise, the programs, and the resources available through the Keep America Beautiful network. So education, beautification, and litter prevention and cleanup projects would be the initial focus for that group, because these types of projects they have the potential to impact key programs of the city. And but we want to go beyond just that initial focus. We want to work with that group to find out how we can have them to channel their passion, their skill, and their productivity to come together so that it complements the work that the Department of Public Works does, and also that it furthers the mayor's initiatives. So we're looking to establish this group by April of 2025, and some of the key goals for the year would be to attend Keep America Beautiful trainings, to host both East Side and West Side events, and also to participate in America Recycles Day in November, because that's one of the key programs of Keep America Beautiful. And I'll give that back to you.
Thank you, Ren. Again, I wanted to make sure that council knew that we were moving in a direction of sustainability, but in a holistic approach to those things that will latch on to those national initiatives. Going on, for the vacant properties, I did want to make sure you got to meet our new vacant properties manager, Mr. Jose Rodriguez. There he is back there. We'll be talking to you as we move forward, as we kind of solidify the program and make changes to the program, and we'll be coming to the table to present to you here in the next several months to get ready for next year's program. I did want to take a few moments to the chair to discuss the storm response cleanup and the metrics behind that from the tornado. Our duties that were included in that project was picking up and disposal of tree debris, cleaning and clearing roadways, repairs of city buildings, repairs of traffic signals and operation boxes, extended recreation hours and food distribution, assisting the community, fueling for fleet, administrative coordination of storm response. Right now, we have a total cleanup cost of about $2.3 million, used about 22,000 man hours, and we collected over 4,000 tons of debris. The one thing that I would want to make sure that we convey to you all as council is we did that storm cleanup without impacting city services. We were able to pick the trash up every day like normal. We kept up with street repairs. Our resurfacing program went on like it was supposed to, and it still will finish on time before the season. We had great successes with collaborations internally and externally. The staff worked together across divisions, across departments in a major way to try to clean up. And I do understand, some things were slower than we would have preferred, but again, it was at the cost of making sure that we kept all of our city services running, especially when we had the power outages and we didn't want food sitting on the curbs a long time and things of that sort. And all of the divisions did a really good job of coming together on that effort. However, we do identify that we have some things to get better at. One of the things that we noticed when the storm came in, we didn't really have identified locations outside of downtown for rendezvous points for us to meet and plan and strategize. So one of the things that we're going to identify is a spot on the west side and a spot on the east side, so that if there's a storm, we know where we all can go as head leadership and meet and strategize from that perspective. We're going to also refine our communication strategies, making sure that every division and within Public Works can speak the same language, especially in a storm. So making sure that we're using the same radio codes and can get on the same channels, making sure our technology matches across the division so that we can all communicate effectively is going to be one of the things that we really work on going forward. Also, emergency contract readiness. When we got into that point, we had to start from scratch to try to put contracts together or communicate with other vendors, which could be done on the front end even if we don't ever have to use them. So we're going to work on that going forward. And also leveraging technology for emergency and storm response. What can we do? What cameras can be put in garbage trucks, for example, that could have let us know where all the debris was on the tree lawns because they're going down the streets every day. Those are all things that we're going to be looking at, whether it be things for temperature gauges and things of that nature that'll be on our trucks that we're going to be working on in the future just to get better in these areas going forward. But again, I do feel like it was a success as it relates to the tornado. We had few injuries, and again, we were able, by way of staffing that were doing everything they could to procure the necessary tools, the necessary equipment for us, and also the vendors that we use all came through and worked at a high level for us throughout that time. If there's any questions on the storm, I would entertain those.
Just one if I could.
Sure, Council President.
So, when you have these storms, you hired extra crews. How many did you have to hire some outside crews, and how did that add up, and how would you look at contingency plans for that in the future? Through the chair.
Through the chair to the Council President, I believe we had three or four outside contractors that helped with tree removal and cutting up for those. In the future, what I would like to do is have a list of those vendors, those local contractors that may want to participate and have them ready to go in the event of a storm. One of the things that we had in previous positions I've held is the ability to have contracts that would just go in place if I enact them. And so I'm going to be working with our fiscal group. I've tasked AD Laird to work on what that process would be to have those things in place so that if we could just pull the trigger by way of a phone call and be able to manage those processes. Once we got into the storm and started to reach out, it was too late. Everybody had work, or they were already working to the point that they couldn't even tell me when they could put crews into the area. So one of the things that we want to do is be proactive and have those things in place so it's just a phone call to enact it. I don't have to jump through the hoops of our normal procurement process going forward. Hopefully that will shorten the time to be able to get those folk on the ground working.
Thank you. And through the chair, just to follow up with that, just a couple more follow-up questions. To Councilman Starr's point earlier, would you or will you or have you guys thought about interagency agreements with public utilities and our own public utilities, as well as who is the cable company now? Spectrum and AT&T and First Energy and all those other groups. Would you have interagency agreements, or have you ever looked at that to be able to have joint responses at times and those kind of things as well?
Absolutely. Through the chair to the Council President, absolutely. Those are all things that are on the table. Those kind of public-private partnerships are sometimes a little difficult to implement. It's much easier when they're like the CPPs or things like that to be able to do those and do interdepartmental transfers as necessary if there's fundings involved. But those are great opportunities that you mentioned. Some of the hardship comes that we're all struggling in some areas as far as classifications for some of those roles. For example, if on our side we are struggling to get arborists and things of that nature, it's likely that CPP has those same struggles as well. And so when we all are working to clean up the same things, we're all just buried with that work, and so then it becomes the prioritization of what is most important. That was one of the things, to your very point, that made it such a success, in my opinion, was when we all could agree on health and safety is first, then we can collaborate really easily on those measures. Nobody is saying it's CPPs or urban forestries. It's about health and safety. So we all can have that same goal in mind and work together. But we are going to work on those things a little better to really solidify. Sometimes you don't know where you're weak at until you get one of these storms. And so we did take a lot of lessons learned back, and we'll be working on those interdepartmental agreements as well.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, just a couple last things. I would hope that you would share that debrief document with the chair so that the chair can become familiar with that debriefing document. So if you could follow up with our policy staff so that the chair and pretty much all the council can look at that debriefing document, because that helps us determine where we might need to add additional staffing, support, dollars, or whatever else like that. Will you be adding those crews in your budget this time so that you can pull that trigger quicker than you did last time?
Some of those things will be going over into the new Department of Parks and Recreation.
Okay. In closing, I just want to say that in that storm event, I really believe that the JIC, the Joint Information Center, should have been pulled up quicker, and the EOC, Emergency Operations Center, to coordinate all of these different efforts, because there were some areas of town that were hit harder than others. So I'm all about coordination, because you're right. When you look at health and safety, if Collinwood is hit the hardest, then we might need to have an all hands on deck and have a joint information center or an emergency operations center structure where we actually make everybody sing out the same playbook and out the same hymn book and play out the same playbook. So hopefully we'll see that reflected in the budget, and I hope we can capture that in the operational side so that we can make sure that we advocate for that to be reflected in the budget. And in closing, thank you, Mr. Lyric, for coming back. I know that he had one foot out the door, and I told Director Williams, give me the hook so we could pull him back in like the Apollo.
Thank you, sir.
So appreciate it. We do value what you guys do, okay? Thank you.
Appreciate you.
All right, thank you, Council President.
All right.
Yes, I have a question, Chair.
Councilwoman Gray.
Thank you. I don't know if this has anything to do with the downsizing or not having enough workers on the job, but at one point I was at Zema George, and I was cornered by quite a few of the seasonal workers. Said that they had just recently got their notice of being downsized, but they're going to be called back after November 27th. So did this inhibit the not having enough workers? I'm not sure, but I'm just bringing this point up because I was at Zema George, and some of the workers kind of came up to me and said they was going through this situation of seasonal workers. So I'm just asking by Council President brought up the fact that, did we have enough workers? And since this incident happened to me at Zema George, and they brought it to my attention, is this one of the reasons why we didn't have enough workers, during the storm per se? I'm not sure.
Through the
Are
chair.
you aware of that?
Oh, yeah, through the chair to the councilwoman, that those are two different things.
Okay.
So when depending on which, we have contractual folks that are here seasonally, and we have city employees who are here seasonally. So depending on which group approached you, the story will be different. But that did not impact the storm. I think that most of what you saw with the storm was how quickly it happened, how much it happened at one time, being able to get all those resources in at one place. Urban Forestry's group it's a smaller group that had a lot of vacancies. That's why we had to use a lot of contractual work in that case. With the case you're talking about, we plan it. So if we have seasonal people, you don't need them the whole year. You don't need them all the time. So it is a matter of if we don't need the work, we lay off because of, just don't have the work for them. There's some people that stay around a little bit longer because we may have them downtown. The other people that if you're doing vacant property stuff, we have a set amount of time that we use them for. And once that time is up, we move on and we go to work for next year. So it does depend on who you were talking to, right? Right. So again, a lot of this is planned out, and we're trying to be as fiscally responsible as we can. There was another piece to it that the wages for this contract increased significantly in the middle of the contract, so we had to pivot at that time. So we were still able to get services done, but we couldn't go. Sometimes we go a little bit longer than we like, than we have scheduled, but we weren't able to do it this year. So.
Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Gray. Is there any other questions for the Public Works Administration? Nope. All right, Director, moving on.
Thank you, Chairman. we'll move on with the Division of Parking Facilities. Commissioner Kim Johnson, the all guru of parking, is helping to move us forward as it relates to technology and also curb management. Now, one thing I will make mention of is parking facilities and traffic engineering has a very close relationship throughout their work because of the impacts that parking will have on traffic and also traffic decisions that impact parking. So they work, Commissioner Mavick and both Commissioner Johnson work quite a bit together. We wanted to make sure that we put a focus on our staffing. A lot of the staffing in this group has really stepped up to the occasion as it relates to ingesting new technology, new processes, and new procedures going forward. And most, if not all, have really took the initiative to really be a part of this process going forward. Now, again, with the implementation of the zones throughout the city, there's every neighborhood or every area will have their own nuances that we will have to work through from a parking perspective to make sure that we land the plane correctly. But we will work diligently with you on those things by way of using best management practices, but also using information that you have and that the residents have let us know about as well. So it's not our intent to just throw anything out there, but we will continue to work with you all as it relates to moving forward. This year we've established 134 mobile payment zones with Park Mobile, installed 75 pay stations with Flowbird, and we've had an increase in mobile payment revenue since October 2023. So we are headed in the right directions. At right now, in those pay stations, though, 88% of the transactions are credit-based and only 12% are coin based. So we are moving in the right direction, and then also taking back data to inform us of how we should move forward in the future. Some of the highlights that we have for this year, data provided from Park Mobile and Flowbird provides financial reports and information about peak usage. This is going to give us data to be able to actually move the operation and make sure we flex the operation in a way that actually supports the usership. This will help from us to not overstaff and also staff with a mindset of being able to service those who are using our parking facilities. We're also, it's actually started now, many of you may have seen it if you have gone to the second levels of Willard Garage, but we're partnering with property management to enhance the wayfinding within the garage. We still have a lot of folk that park in Willard Garage and don't know where to go after they park, so we're really working on that. You've probably seen some lighting enhancements that we're working on, and we're continuing to try to do whatever we can to enhance the parking experience, whether off-street or on-street. Staff managing parking project. One of the things that we wanted to make sure of is not to just do a high-level implementation of a project. We have folk within the parking group, and I'm going to yield for Commissioner Johnson to be able to speak to her staff that are here today that are managing our implementation of our new parking program. But the staffing has really done a good job of stepping up into their classifications and adding on the experience of project management along with their day-to-day duties, and it should be commended. But I just wanted to make sure that those staffing got mentioned on today. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Director, to Chair Bishop and other council people. We have a wonderful group of parking professionals in the Division of Parking Facilities. Our on-street manager, he began his career with the city as a collector. He served as a serviceman, unit leader, and now he is managing and is a large part of the improvements that we're making on street. When we began this project, and his name is Chaz McKnight. When we began this project, he had to leave. Chaz had to leave. When we began the project, we engaged several members of the parking enforcement officers because they're the staff that have boots on the ground, and we wanted to make certain that we were getting their feedback on what they thought and how they felt that we could best implement parking, where we might want to place some of those Flowbird pay stations at areas where Park Mobile would be doing its best at. And so we value the feedback that we receive from our parking enforcement officers, from our unit leaders and servicemen, and they've been doing an outstanding job.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just real quick, want to go through some of our future outlooks and considerations. We want to extend enforcement hours in certain locations throughout the central business district and neighborhoods.
Director, can we pause there for a minute? I think Councilman Harsh has a question for the commission. I'm sorry, Director.
I can wait till their market presentation is over, or I can go now, whichever you prefer, Chairman.
Yeah, go ahead, Councilman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had a constituent reach out to me who visited the West Side Market. They got into the parking lot, but they could not get out because they only had cash. And I thought when we switched over to the online payments that cash was always going to be a viable alternative for people, but there was no station for them to insert cash and get an exit ticket. This resident doesn't use credit cards and rightly pointed out that cash is legal tender for all debts, public and private, and it's printed right there on the money itself. So I just want to, my question is, are we making sure that cash is an eligible payment method at all city parking facilities?
Council Chair to Councilman Harsh, the Division of Parking Facilities no longer manages and operates the West Side Market parking lot. When the nonprofit took over the operation, they also took over the operation of the West Side Market parking lot as well.
Okay. Through the chair then, did the city not put that stipulation into the transfer when you all transferred it over to them? I assume that there was some kind of agreement in place when we handed over management of that facility to them. Do you recall if that was in the agreement?
Council Chair to the councilman, I was not involved in the agreement, so I can't speak to what.
Then I will circle back to the West Side Market, but to the rest of the parking locations in the city of Cleveland, is cash still eligible payment method for all city parking that is under the control of your division?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thanks. We'll have to look into the West Side Market, Chairman. I'll figure that out.
Okay. All right. Okay, Director.
Just moving on quickly, data provided from Park Mobile, we're going to continue to use our data to look at hours and how we will implement things in the future. We've also added, or we're looking to add automated vehicle location devices to all parking enforcement and service vehicles to aid in monitoring efficiency across the division. Complete installation of automatic license plate recognition in all parking enforcement vehicles by the end of 2025 is our goal, pending any questions on parking off-street or on.
Okay. All right. Is there any questions on the division of parking facilities? Is there any questions on the division of parking facilities? Commissioner, can you speak about the first part of the change when we started to do these mobile parking apps? Have we seen an increase in parking fares, or do we have? Can you speak to the data that we got so far?
Absolutely, Council Chair Bishop. We definitely have seen an increase in the adoption rate for Park Mobile for every year, actually, I'm sorry, for every month. we have seen a slight increase in the adoption, the number of transactions, and the revenue received from those who are choosing to pay by way of Park Mobile.
Okay, so the amount of tickets that's been issued, amount of parking tickets that has been issued, has that kind of stabilized, or has that increased, or has that decreased? Have you kept that data?
We have kept the data on the number of citations written, but the comparison from 23 to 24, because of the of some of our loss in staff, is not actually comparable. We began the year with 8 staff. We currently have 5. We have 4 in process of being approved right now. And so although we look at that data and we look, from year to year to see exactly where we are and whether or not the citation, how we're writing citations, this year will be an anomaly because of the high number of turnovers that we had in staffing. But we will be looking at the end of the year so that we can compare. And with the technology gain from both Park Mobile and Flowbird, it's really going to be interesting to see how all that plays in, because we'll be able to compare monthly data to monthly citations written to get some of the output that you are asking about.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, Councilman Brian Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, to the Commissioner, we gave up the West Side parking, West Side Market parking. Have we given up or turned over parking to a third party anywhere else in the city? It's either yes or no.
Through the chair to the council member, not that I'm aware of, unless you maybe the gateway will be transferring, but that won't be us.
Right. So is there any, Mr. Chairman, to the Director of the Commissioner, is there anything that we've given up or third-partied out that we used to do ourselves? Like, is Park Mobile, did we used to do the job that Park Mobile's doing?
Council Chair to Councilman, no, we did not.
Okay.
This is new technology. This is allowing customers to pay by use of their mobile payment devices. This is new. It is not.
So when the city used to just be all metered, right? It was us that went and we emptied the meters, right? We collected the money, we counted it, we deposited it, was all us, right? Now, if somebody else parks in that same spot, but it's Park Mobile, right? Park Mobile's taking a fee, I'm assuming, for something that we used to do, right? We used to collect the money on that. Now Park Mobile's collecting it and giving it to us. How much has the city either gained or lost by bringing in that third party to provide that service that we used to provide?
So just to Council Chair, to the councilman, the technology and the services that Park Mobile is providing is just another way for people to pay to park. So if that person before was paying by way of coin, they are now paying by way of credit. We still have we still have meters on street. We have the pay stations on street that will be collected in the same manner. And so it's not a decrease to us, it's an add-on. And what we're seeing is that the revenue is increasing, it's not decreasing, if I'm answering your question.
All right, let me ask this question then. Mr. Chairman, to the Director of the Commissioner, who owns those pay stations? Does the city of Cleveland?
The city of Cleveland owns the pay
owns
stations.
them.
Yes.
They just do what then for us? What are they doing that we couldn't do?
Park Mobile?
Right.
They are providing the mobile payment option so that you can pay using your cellular device.
And then the city of Cleveland does not have that technology to do that ourselves?
That is correct.
Okay, that's a problem. But that's not probably your problem. That's an IT problem within the city. Second thing I want to talk about is the city of Cleveland or the Board of Control sets our parking rates for our parking facilities, correct?
That is correct.
That is correct. So if there's a new entity that's set up to this core to shore to core, shore to core to shore, north, whatever it's being called, where they will set up their own border control to try to collect additional fees for themselves for that area. And part of that, we'll just say the Willard Garage falls within that outline or that designated area. And we'll just say that the city of Cleveland sets the border control parking at Willard Garage at, we'll just use round numbers, $50, right? But their border control comes in and says, no, we want to set the parking rate at $70, correct? Who wins out in that battle?
Through the chair to the council member, as we are the operating arm, we would probably have to get an opinion from law on something of that sort.
All right, and that's one of my, this is totally off topic, but since we're here with parking, that's going to be a major part of it because there's going to be a lot of public parking, on-street parking, you know, within that area where if you're going to park on one street downtown and it's going to cost you $2 to park for an hour, and then all of a sudden you're going to move into that newly created district, but they're going to say, no, we want $6 to park, and you're only a street away. You can see where I would have an issue with that.
Through the chair to the councilman, yeah, we've had some discussions about these new zones being created.
Correct.
And about, so right now, there were several questions that we asked about who trumps. So that is still an outstanding legal thing. So we can't really answer that question today. Okay. But it's a fair question, and because we even asked about taxes, what happens with tax and all that. Exactly. So we don't know those answers yet.
So when that eventually comes to the council, know that that's going to be one of the things that I'm going to raise. So if you could please have an answer by the time we get to that with parking, public parking within these new zones, and who's going to set the rates, where does the additional money go if they want to raise a rate, or even if they want to decrease a rate, right? I mean, who's going to take protocol in this whole situation?
Through the chair to the council member, we will make sure to also engage you with who is working on this from the mayor's office, because that's where that should probably come from.
All right, because I know that Willard Garage is within that zone, right? So we want to make sure we have that figured out, at least through the parking aspect, prior to coming to the council with that information. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilman Casey. All right, Director, you want to continue?
It wouldn't take so much time.
Sorry.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to move forward with the Division of Property Management. Division of Property Management run by Commissioner Tom Nagel, who is a lifer and knows where everything is in the city. We really support him and his endeavors to help us move things forward and be a visionary as it relates to utilizing some new technologies and doing things in a strategic way. And you can see already that there's been an increase in 2024 of his service requests completed has jumped in one season almost 9% over last year, which is a testament to being more strategic and prioritizing a little differently and doing more proactive work as well. We still have ways to go in a lot of areas, but we are doing a great job as far as adopting the usage of technology as it relates to a work order management system, and staff is really doing a great job of using those things to their advantage. I'll let Commissioner Nagel speak to some of the highlights and successes, but we are proud of the work that they have been doing.
Thank you, Director, Chairman, members of the committee. Property management is continuing on what we started a couple budget cycles ago, which is what we call a refresh program, where we take a component of the city's facilities, for instance, recreation centers or fire stations or police stations, and treat them as a pay attention to that group for this quarter. So for an entire fiscal quarter, we try to go into those facilities as much as possible and clear out all of their backlog with our maintenance teams understanding that day-to-day operations can't really be adversely affected by that effort, but where we have additional hours, we go in and we apply them there. So we don't go looking for work. We already get rid of the work that's on our list of things to do. Most people call it deferred maintenance. You know, for instance, take this room. If there was 2 lights out, does that really merit a team to come in and change 2 light bulbs? If we were in the refresh cycle, the answer would be yes in that case. If we were out of the refresh cycle, unless it was directly impacting somebody's ability to perform their programming or some other quality or life safety issue, we would probably ignore those lights for a period of time. That being said, we'd like to kick it up to the next step, so what you'll be seeing in future budget requests is some kind of a flavor of that, concentrating mainly on recreation centers where we really want to upgrade the quality of them. We don't want to just maintain anymore. We want to improve. And we think that with some of the asks that'll be coming your way, that we would like to move to that next logical step of facility operations.
Just to the chair, just a couple things that we're working on moving forward. Continued refinement of KPIs, or key performance indicators, and metrics focused on time and trade type. One of the things we're going to be looking at is making sure that we look at how long things take that are like jobs, whether it be through a plumber or electrician, and really start honing in on are these jobs taking the right amounts of time, or do we have the right amount of staffing to the jobs that we have. So we'll be working on that going forward. Also, we're going to be working to establish a floor care team to provide scheduled floor maintenance at city facilities that includes the waxing, scrubbing, and vacuuming. We're hoping to also establish a special maintenance crew for recreation buildings and seasonal facilities to make sure that these things are more on a proactive schedule than a reactive, oh my goodness, something's going to be opened up in 6 weeks and now we have to rush to put out the fire. We're looking to try to make sure that these things are already baked into our schedules going forward so that we can get those knocked out in a better manner. And again, any questions for property management?
Yes, Director, I got a couple questions about your output metrics. I'm not sure, I don't see a page number on these things, so I can't tell you a page number, but the output metrics. The capital maintenance number contracts, money utilized. Explain those numbers going across. What are those? First, what contracts are they? I mean, do you have, give us some examples of the contracts that you're referring to in this display right here.
All right, Mr. Chairman. So on the capital maintenance number of contracts, money utilized, the bulk of that money is what's called restricted income tax fund or bond funds that are allocated to us from finance for facilities improvements and facility care. We have a core group of 5 maintenance contractors: general contracting, electrical contracting, plumbing contracting, HVAC, roofing, and I'm missing one, cement work. So obviously in the size of my operation, I'm not able to take on multiple projects at one time. So what happens is a lot of operations or departments within the city have money of their own, but they're looking for somebody to perform the work for them. So we're able to offer this group of contractors to take care of some of their larger project issues. I'll give you an example of, say, carpeting in City Hall. We're getting ready to change out the carpeting in city planning. If any of you have been up there lately and see the conditions up there are pretty dismal. The carpet's beyond its useful life. The director was able to find some money, and we are able to supply the contractor to make that problem go away. So that's really what this aggregate group is. We also brought them in for some storm damage on the roofing. So we had a contractor ready to go. We didn't have to go out and compete for contractors who are obviously full up after an event like that, because they have a contractual obligation to serve us before they go looking for new work in that situation. Also, I might add that with the electrification of the motor vehicle fleet, our electrical contractor in this instance will be installing quite a few power points for these vehicles as they come online. You know, it's nice to buy an electric car, but you're spending quite a bit of time and money locating where you're going to park that car and charge it. So this contractor is available to MVM as they onboard their vehicles and tell us where they're going to be stationed. Sustainability supplies some money. We pay the contractor to install those power points, or those, I don't even know what the technical term is, call it the electric filling station for vehicles.
Okay. Director, I'm not sure if you noticed, but all that furniture that we got at City Hall, we got so much new furniture on every floor. Where did that come from? Where did that, who? Terrible looking. I mean, we got furniture from the basement all the way to the 5th floor. So, Director, do you know anything about that?
Mr. Chairman, when it comes to individual offices, each department sources their funding through cooperation with finance in allocating those funds to them. MOCAP will usually design their office, lay it out, and acquire their furniture from a cooperative contract agreement somewhere. Where they need to improve their electrical or something, or redo the carpet, that's where my contractors would come in. But the furniture program itself is pretty much departmental and MOCAP and finance.
Okay, so it's MOCAP. Okay. All right, is there any other questions on Division of Property Maintenance Management? Councilman Danny Kelly.
To the chair, to the group, I appreciate you saying you have a special team there doing some of those things. Your reconnaissance, I think, is big. I think a lot of times people show up and they hear from the facility it's one thing. When they get there, they find it's something else, usually a little more than they originally thought. So I think reconnaissance would be a good one. The sisters and brothers that do the work probably know what needs to be done. Also, I'd like you to make sure that our people have the tools they need. You know, I mean, we allocated 50% of getting the job done is having the right tools. So I would like to just, you know, if you need something, please come to us, so our men and women, the sisters and brothers out there can get the job done. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and the council member, appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilman Kelly. Councilwoman Gray? You have a question? All right, Councilwoman Spencer.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I simply wanted to thank Commissioner Nagel for the random one-off things that he deals with, some of them from my office. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
all right.
Councilperson, thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman. Is that concludes Division of Property Management? Yes. Okay. All right, Director, move on.
At this time, we're going to move on with the Division of Waste Collection. Commissioner Pruitt. Morning. One of the things before I turn over to Commissioner Pruitt, I do want to make mention of a great fact that we are finding out in his division. There's been an impact to culture and to our retention. This year we have retained, the division has retained 65% of its hires so far through 2024. And that is a major thing for the industry, nonetheless, for that type of work, that laborious work. So I do want to commend Commissioner Pruitt and his staff for whatever they're doing over there to make an environment that makes people want to stay. That group has experienced a lot of turnover over the years, and it started to level off over the last couple by way of doing things, I think by training, a lot of the things that he's been doing as it relates to providing providing other services. He's planning to do a GED program. There's all kinds of different things that or a literacy program, I apologize, in that group. But we're really doing a lot of things. As you recall, I came to you all about the fact that we were going to be balancing the households to make sure that our staffing would be able to get off on time and look to do things a little better so the staff had a better experience at work. And also, I would make mention of we are investing in Commissioner Pruitt and his staffing as it relates to training, getting to some conferences. I believe he's going to a conference with some staff here soon. But we're really doing a lot to bolster that group and make sure they are not forgotten about and not taken advantage of as just waste collectors. We really want to make sure that that staff is talked about and acknowledged and appreciated. And at this time, I'm going to turn over and yield the time to Commissioner Pruitt. Thank you.
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Chair, to the director and to the council members. I often say that when I get a chance, I'm an avatar for the 230 plus men and women who work for the Division of Waste. I represent them, but they're the ones who actually execute the work, and they make everyone look good. The most important thing, as the director stated, in our division is the human beings that work in our division. The work we do is consistent and is often very laborious. But those individuals, they make it happen, rain, sleet, or snow. We provide service 5 days a week, 52 times a year, regardless if it's raining, regardless if it's 100 plus degrees, regardless of the snow. So be able to provide the quality of the service and the level that we provide is a testament to their tenacity and also their ability to be resilient. The second thing is our fleet, right? As often said in our division, you need two things to make a chicken soup. You need water and chicken. Once you take care of the humans, the next thing you need is the fleet. And our fleet, we have invested in our fleet significantly over the past couple of years and starting to see the turnaround. We received 18 new vehicles this year, and that is significant. In addition to that, in partnership with our brothers and sisters in NVM, we have started to enhance our ability to maintain the vehicles that we already have. Waste collection vehicle often has a life cycle of about 7 years. We often, we keep our stuff a little bit longer. Most of our vehicles are a little more vintage, to say the least. However, we have to do a better job of maintaining what we have and making sure we're able to execute our mission. It's significant when we started this project to prepare for this operation review. In the past, we often just estimated that we serviced about 155,000 households, and that's something that we just use. The director challenged us to actually measure, and we found out it's 175,000. So to be able to service 175,000 households twice, because they have two carts, is more than 65,000 stops per day. And there's not another city in this county that has that per week, and we do that every day. And often we make mistakes. The reality is that our division is staffed by human beings, and we're not always perfect, but we do the best thing we can to try to make up for the mistakes we make and minimize them. Recycling program. Recycling program is a reflection of our residents. They embraced our new rollout a couple years ago. We have over 78,000 households who have opted in, and we're keeping our contamination rate low. It is not anything that we're doing in our division, it's our partnership with our residents. Part of that's communication, also part of them believing that the future of our city is based on our ability to maintain and secure a more resilient future. Car replacement, we're always going to be in the business of doing car replacement. We did about 8,000 thus far, that's as of October, and we'll continue the process. We're always going to deliver about 10 to 11,000 carts per year. Those are some of the random facts that we have identified as our metrics. Pending your questions, we'll go into the presentation.
Okay, getting back to cart replacement. Let me understand this. You said it again. How many cart replacements did you?
It's the numbers up there that added up is over about 8,600 we did as of October. Every year we do about 10 to 11,000 per year. So we still have a few months left in this year.
Okay, that's the black and the blue cans combined.
That's correct.
Okay, all right. Do we have any in stock now? Because normally we've been running out we have out of stocks all the time. Are we at adequate levels at this point?
No, so we have enough black cards. Blue cards were out. What we depended upon is we need the capital legislation. I know it was introduced, and we will ask that this body supports the capital legislation and pass it. Once it's been passed, and that gives me the ability to actually purchase cards. We have the funds available. We just need the legislative authority to make that purchase.
Okay. All right. All right. Is there any questions on waste collection?
I have one.
Councilman Casey.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, to the Commissioner, when are you going to start pulling the blue cans back?
Currently, that project is on hold. We're waiting for further guidance before we start pulling them. We did not want to confuse pulling the carts at the end of this year.
You're waiting for guidance, you said? From who?
Through the chair to the council member, it was the request of the administration to make one more push to get more people to opt into the recycling program before we take them out and then have to give them back because people, do it after the fact. So the intent is to socialize and really try to get another push. Mr. Brumfield is going to be helping with a new push and a new approach to try to make sure we get more people opting in. We're still running into a place of where I believe becomes an educational piece. We still get people saying, I didn't even know, or anything like that. So we want to make sure that we don't create a problem by pulling these carts and create an issue when we haven't done our due diligence to make sure that everybody understands the benefit of opting in, and also making sure that we've really done our due diligence to make sure that everyone understands that it's no cost to them. It's not a hard thing to do. A lot of folk have, because they heard from somebody else something or whatever that is not accurate. And so we just want to make sure we have done everything we can do to communicate with the residents.
Mr. Chairman, to the director, how long have people had to opt in?
Through the chair to the councilman, the opt-in period started in June of 20, actually in the fourth quarter of 2021.
All right, so Mr. Chairman, to the commissioner and the director, we'll start, fourth quarter 2021, we'll say 2022, right, before it rolled out. 22, 23, now we're getting ready to end up, you've given people 3 years to opt in, right? And you're still saying that we need to educate and let them know more. Where that's gonna happen is when you pull their blue cart, and then you're gonna say, oh, if you want it back, it's for recycling purposes only, and if you want it back, you opt into recycling. I mean, we've given them 3 years to opt in. I understand the need to continue to educate, but we're going to always continue to educate that. But until you put a hard line in the sand, people are out there with 5, 3, 4 carts, and then we get the calls. Why are they dumping the recyclables into the regular trash? And we know it's because they didn't opt in. You know the whole story. We've been going over it for 3 years now. But at what point do you or the administration want to say, then never pull the blue cans back? Just let everybody have it, and whoever's got the sticker recycles, whoever doesn't, it goes in the regular trash. I mean, how much more time can we give somebody, or how much longer does it take to educate somebody on, you have to opt in?
Through the chair to the council member, I can appreciate you looking at the time factor, but because I wasn't here, I don't know what the efforts were to do that education. So it really doesn't, in my opinion, it's not so much the time factor, it's the effort that was put toward doing that education. And so because it's underneath my watch, I want to make sure that we've done everything possible underneath since I've been here. Not so much about the time, but I want to make sure that we've exhausted everything, whether it be TV20, whether it be, things.
All been done, Director.
Excuse me. But one of the things I want to do is make sure that I oversee those things and make sure that we've done everything possible before.
Then, Mr. Chairman, to the director, since you want to take responsibility for it, how long have you been here?
I've been here 2 years.
2 years. So don't you think 2 years is enough time then?
Not if we're talking just about time. Also, there's efforts that could happen that we could do even more as it relates to those things.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilman Casey. Councilwoman Spencer.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, my questions, I'm going to build off of Councilman Casey because they were also related to removal of blue carts, when that would happen. So we've covered that. I did, though, want to ask about, through the chair, the just in general with the recycling program, in terms of where we are as opposed to what our target might be, which is, so it looks like, if I'm reading this correctly, we're at about, so 78,000 households enrolled, so we're at about 40% or so of total households enrolled, and what would be our target then? Listen, I'm not going to do back of the napkin math. I can do that. But you get what I'm saying. Let's say for the sake of the argument, we're at about 40% of households enrolled. What would we say is the success? If we're not successful now, what percentage is successful?
Through the chair to the council lady, I would say actually you measure success by your contamination rate. The key, as a reminder, when our previous program, we had 100% of individuals who were in the recycling program, and we had a 78% contamination rate. It was basically getting them straight garbage. So the goal is not necessarily about the quantity, it's about the quality of the materials that we're using, that we're collecting and recycling. So as long as we can manage the inviting more people to participate in the program by keeping our contamination rate around 25% or lower, that is success. So just adding people into the program and we getting more trash in our recycling stream is a negative. It's a net negative. So the goal is to properly educate, make sure that they understand what is recyclable materials, make it easy, make the bar to entry very small, and then getting more quality materials. That is the goal. One other thing that we haven't done, our recycling program is primarily a residential curbside program. One of the goals that we're looking to do is actually to increase more recycling in public facilities. There's some thoughts around that. We need to also, we have recycling currently going on at the airport. We have recycling going on in public utilities facilities and the city hall. But to expand recycling to some of our public facilities, such as recreation centers, is something that we're looking to do in 2025.
Thank you. Through the chair, I'm glad to hear about that. I think that's important work. I just, though, to go back on the residential recycling program, I did also want to ask about the contamination rate. So is there, listen, it sounds like we all mutually desire to do at least a little bit better, right? At least some number of additional households enrolled while keeping the contamination rate as low as possible. Is there a threshold at which the city would be penalized? Let's say if we exceed a certain contamination rate, and what is that threshold?
Through the chair to the council, so what we do an annual audit with the vendor, and if we have loads that have too much contamination, then we actually pay a fee to have those disposed as MSW. So we want to keep. Right now we're in a positive. So we're in a good spot when it comes to not worrying about paying a fee. You had something, Director?
Yes. So through the chair to the councilperson, it's 31% contamination 31%. Rate. So the way our contract works is if once we go past that, we do get some revenue shares if we have low contamination rates. If we go past that, those revenue shares start to right. So it is a balancing act. If you add more, it looks like we added that additional 20 or so thousand people, we got another 10% of contamination. So we really do want to be careful, because if we get all these folks in and we've pretty much wasted our time. So, and I do understand it is amount of time, but it is a balancing act that we want to make sure. Loretta's been doing I think a bang up job of getting out, talking to people, helping people understand the simplicity of recycling. A lot of times people don't understand just how simple we need to make it for them. And so that, again, that whole education piece, and I do understand we've been taking a while, but this last contract that we had before this, the vendor that we were working with, they were so, the contract was set so that they ended up paying for our contamination rates. It was a really bad situation that we were in. So no vendor wanted to deal with us at that time. So it took us so long to even get somebody to take a bite on this contract. So we're very careful about that contamination rate, and the commissioner's right. That's the number that we really want to make sure we pay attention to. So right now, 31%, we hit that, we go past that, that's when the penalties start kicking in.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Gray.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say thank you to Commissioner Pruitt, who does a great job with the dumpster month. Much appreciated. You want to chime in on that? Okay. Oh, no complaints at all. So the residents love the process of the procedure that we were able to set up. A lot of other councils, have that too in their ward. So I just want to tell you how much appreciative the residents, of this program.
Thank you, through the chair. Like I said, I'm an avatar. So what I'll do is I'll take those compliments back to the staff who actually performed the work.
Yes, they do. They do a great job. And also, in addition, the chair, to the commissioner, I want to thank you also when I email you regarding the recycle and the trash container of the abandoned and vacancy homes. And those containers are left there sitting. I just want to know how can your department assess that when we do have so many vacant and foreclosed homes and those trash containers are left there at those properties? As you know, I send you pictures and give you the numbers, and you come right out and pick them up. But how can we better assess a program with building housing to allocate how many of those houses are out there with those trash containers still sitting at the locations? Because maybe that can be helpful of recycling those recycle containers and those trash containers. If you I don't know if you clean them up and then you put them and then you give them to someone else. How better we can help you, assist you with that. Along with building and housing. Chair, to the commissioner.
Through the chair to the councilwoman. So there's a couple of things that we do for we call them orphan carts. Often we do get the board up notice from building housing, also the demolition list, building housing, also from the Collier County Land Bank. When we get those lists, we actually add those addresses to go out and look and see if any of our carts are there, and we try to recover them. Additionally, what we have really part of the training and investment in our staff is having our foremen be more mindful. Generally, they focus, their eyes are trained on the curb. And we're teaching them that you got to look at the city more holistically, so that when you see abandoned facility or abandoned house, look up the driveway and look in the backyard. If you see anything, just simply add a city worst case in so we can go back and get them. Ultimately, there's a balancing act between making sure that we pull up carts that are obviously orphaned versus some homes may be empty and they're still paying a waste collection fee because they're still have the water service turned on. Not to pull that car because it may be occupied within the next a couple months, and therefore we got to go back and issue new cards. So it's a training. It's also being more using the information that we have available to us, especially coming from building housing and the county land bank, and making sure we actually do the research and find out what carts we can pull versus the ones that need to leave.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for that. I'm very appreciative of how you assess that, but it's one particular house. I'm going to email you this myself personally.
Okay.
It's over there on Auburn. The address is 12309. This house is I met the homeowner, met the landlord this past weekend, and I'm going to email you a picture because he has one of your recycle containers. He has the downspout in the recycle container, catching water.
Okay, I got you.
Okay, and that is terrible to see that sitting out there on the side of his house. And I told him that I was going to cite him and report him for all of the uses of damaging of using city property to catch the downspout, and the house is deplorable. So I just want to make aware of that. That's why I have this much concern when I do drive around the neighborhood and I see these empty containers. They are not used effectively, and they should call them in if those properties are empty and they're not and they're vacant and not rehabable. They're using those containers for other means.
Yes, through the chair, Councilman, I got the address 12309 Auburn. We'll take care of it.
Auburn, yes.
Auburn, gotcha.
Yeah, two-family house, yes. And you will see that that recycled container, full of water with that downspout in it.
Sounds like they're trying to be sustainable. They might need a.
Yes, they do. But
we'll take care.
All right, thank you for that.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Gray.
All right.
Quickly before you go, Commissioner, can you touch on the tire shredding pilot program? And when is that coming? We need that for sure.
Mr. Chair, so currently we collect tires. We collect about 1,000 to 1,200 tires per year. And it costs us $350 per ton to dispose of a tire. So for example, a ton of tires, that's about $35 a tire. And if you really think about it, we pay someone over $600,000 to collect our tires so they can shred them and sell the material. So what we're looking to do is, can we, and in the 1990s, the city of Cleveland, we actually shredded our own tires. So we're looking to actually purchase a tire shredding machine, beta test it ourselves, and see if we can go ahead and then repurpose that material or sell that material and cut a lot of our cost. And also, as you know, there's tires in some of our parts of our city that grow like dandelions. So even though we collect about 1,100, 1,200 tires per year, there's plenty of tires out there that we can still go out and get. And if we can figure out a way to actually reduce our costs and actually repurpose the material, that's something we really want to get going. So also in the capital legislation that was introduced on Monday, there's a tire shredding machine that we asked the body to support that legislation so that we can actually start that program in 2025.
Okay, so it sounds like good use of investment in our dollars. Okay, all right, I think I lost my train of thought. But yeah, that's definitely a good investment because I got so many tires that I report all the time. We are getting sick of these tires. The public receptacle replacement.
Yes.
Talk about that because that's important. And I have issues with some of my receptacles in the public. So talk about that, Commissioner.
Mr. Chair, so the ones that's in Ward 2, we're going to get those done before November. But ultimately, there's about 900 receptacles across the city of Cleveland that we want to replace. So we're purchasing metal receptacles, replace the old concrete receptacles that we have had in our inventory since the 1960s. This is the first time in 50 plus years that the city's actually put an effort in to try to do this citywide. Okay. Ultimately, once again, it's part of the capital legislation. It gives us the ability to expend funds that we have to purchase those receptacles, and we plan to roll out about 400 sites in 2025. This will be a 3-year project to get the whole city done.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, Director, back to you. We'll move on to the next section.
Division of Motor Vehicle Maintenance. Thank you. Good job. Appreciate you. Good morning. So with me, I have Commissioner Jeff Brown, also known as everyone's friend. Only friend. Commissioner Brown takes care of so much of the city as it relates to motor vehicle maintenance, and he's done a great job with some new endeavors. I would just make mention of a couple things that we're doing going forward, and he will mention some other things. But one of the things that I am very proud of is staff staffing levels. We've been able to, by way of a few different things, start to get a consistent staffing level within that group that everybody benefits from across the city when we have mechanics and the staffing that we need to move things forward. We also are I've tasked Commissioner Brown with doing more of a seasonal calendar of demoing equipment. So what we're doing for summer programs, we'll be demoing equipment specific to those areas on a more regular basis, and then also snow and ice control equipment or whatever types of equipment that are out there, just to make sure that we are touching and exploring whatever's out there first and not being on the back end of those things because it takes so long to procure anything. We want to make sure we're at the front of the line for anything new that's out there that can enhance safety for the work that's out there, but also give us some efficiencies gained, similar to our bulk spreaders that we'll be talking about during street maintenance. But at this time, I want to yield to Commissioner Brown so he can tell you all the great stuff we've been doing in 2024.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, I guess it is. I just want to just touch on one of the biggest reasons I think that MVM has been successful is my team that I have behind me. We have 78 people that are just absolutely committed to what we do every day. They are fully engaged. They understand what the expectations are, and they work really hard to meet those expectations every day. So, I mean, that's, I think that together we have worked real hard to create a culture that people want to come to work there and stay. So I'd like to start with that. So I want to acknowledge a couple of my team members that are here today. I have my Assistant Commissioner, Tom Kushner. He's here today. And Superintendent Wayne Garten. And my budget manager, Mike Robinson, is here. So those are a couple of key players that make everything happen every day. So just to get started, I mean, on downtime, the staffing has had a significant impact on reducing the downtime. We have been able to fill a lot of our vacancies, which means we have more mechanics on staff, which means we are able to do more things in-house. We have worked incredibly hard with our recruitment program out in the school districts, out at job fairs, colleges, just anywhere and everything where we can do some level of recruiting, and it's actually paying off.
Are you available to train other departments in how to staff up their departments?
I am more than welcome to give them some advice.
Have cost savings there, right?
At a very minimal charge.
Okay.
All right. So moving forward, so like I said, we have filled almost all of our positions. We have one of the things that is that we focused on is training. Everyone knows that on the automobiles and on the truck side, the vehicles are becoming much more technical and a lot more complicated. So in order for our technicians to be able to get the efficiency level to repair those vehicles, we commit a lot of resources to training. We have a trainer on our staff that trains from everything from cars, trucks, to motorcycles, to off-road equipment. It's a kind of a trainer thing. He gets factory training and he trains our staff on board. So this works out very well for us. We also are adding more electric vehicles to our fleet. We've added 8 more electric vehicles this year, and we'll be adding more. We've done some significant test and evaluation with them in certain areas they work. I have to commend Commissioner Johnson in parking. She's been like the poster child for electric vehicles. Almost her entire fleet is almost all electric now. So she has helped us out with a lot of that evaluation. Another thing that we did this year, which was major for us, is we updated our fuel management system. The Division of Motor Vehicle Maintenance, we manage all the fuel distribution for the entire city. So we have a multiple number of sites all over the city and out of the city to support the Division of Water in every division in the city. That system that we had was kind of antiquated. Actually, I think the system was almost 20 years old. The way it communicated was not very efficient, and the data that we were getting from it wasn't helpful to us. So we spent a significant amount of money and upgraded that system citywide. New software, new hardware, new dispensers. We also added, as a result of emissions on trucks, the new trucks are using diesel exhaust fluid now to meet emissions. So we also, in this upgrade, we actually installed diesel exhaust fluid dispensers at our fuel sites now, instead of having the operators have to use it out of a jug to fill it up. So we've made a significant impact there. That project is about 85% done. It should be complete by the end of November, and it's just brought a lot of efficiencies to the operation, along with being the software component of it really has given us a lot more ability to track data. So miles per gallon, fuel usage, just everything across the board. We'll be able to provide the kind of data that Director Williams needs to have on a regular basis to make the decisions that he needs to make on the fleet.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Commissioner. Is there any questions for MBM? Councilwoman Spencer?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good presentation from Commissioner Brown, and thank you for bringing your team. I had a question about the your talent, your employees in your division, and specifically was curious about if there's a collaboration with Max Hayes High School. I have very fortunate to have Max Hayes in Ward 15, and I know they have motor vehicle maintenance as one of their areas of focus. I'm trying to think of the word. Yeah, it's one of the vocations, but it's one of the, students can pick what track they want to be on. I know that's one of them. So I was curious if there's already a relationship established with Max Hayes, through the chair.
Through the chair to the councilwoman, we have a fantastic relationship with Max Hayes. We've been working with them for over 5 years. We regularly do the career fairs over there, but we work with the vocational school managers over there, and we recruit students out of there almost every year. I'm actually, that's one of the things that I'm very proud of. We have 2 individuals that we hired directly out of high school, like within a week of them graduating. They came to work for us and have now transitioned into full-time automobile repair technicians. And that, once again, I gotta step back and talk about my team. One of the things that I think we do very well is when we take young people like that. I have a group of people that just are absolutely fantastic about taking them under their wing and working with them and developing them. And a lot of times when you're developing young kids like that, you're not just developing them from a professional standpoint. There's a lot of times that you're developing them from a personal standpoint, and they come to you with issues and questions. And I just have a great bunch of people that they put the time in, they work with them, and they are committed to seeing them succeed. And we do a great job at it. That's one of the things I'm very proud of.
I'm so glad to hear it. Thanks so much. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. All right, is there any more questions for MBM? All right, Director.
This time we'll move on to street maintenance and construction. Commissioner Randy Scott.
Yeah.
Before we get started in the Division of Streets, I do want to just make a quick announcement for the Division of Streets. The Department of Public Works is currently nominating Commissioner Randall T. Scott for the 2024 Clyde Butch Seldy Public Works Servant Leader Award for the state of Ohio Public Works. Now, since I'm sit on the board, I can't vote, but I do want to make sure everyone knows about it. This is a sponsored award by the American Public Works Association of Ohio chapter to recognize individuals who exhibit the highest standard of excellence, dedication, and accomplishment over a sustained period, and who are creative and highly skilled career servant leaders at any level of public works. Individuals nominated for this award shall have made major contributions to advancing public works in a government setting. And most of you know he hired me. This award is presented annually to a public works practitioner who currently works or have spent the primary part of their careers in public works, have made outstanding contributions on a sustained basis rather than having performed a single exceptional deed, and have managed, created, or facilitated significant programs or projects within the area of responsibility to the ultimate benefit of the public. So we're looking to support, there is no other from the Department of Public Works of this year that's being nominated. We are all standing behind Commissioner Randy Scott for this award, and regardless if he wins or not, we wanted him to know publicly that we support him and we appreciate his time, talent, and his commitment to the generations of leadership and those to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Director.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
So,
now, Director, is this the best department in the city? I keep hearing rumors that this is the best department in the city.
Absolutely. This is the best department in the city. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You can say that.
Absolutely. Because of the staff, not because of me. Not because of me. It's because of the staff. It's because of the staff, absolutely. But I'll yield and let Commissioner Scott run through some of his highlights for this year.
Well, first, let me say thank you. That was a welcome surprise. I appreciate that, Director. Let me just say, as my colleague said, it's all about the staff. I could probably fill this room up with staff people that I'm proud of. But what I did today, I decided to talk with the director, and we decided to bring a few people with us that do not only what they're paid to do every day, but those people that go above and beyond. So I want to introduce just a few people. Behind me, I got Mr. James Leggins. He's in charge of our Bridges and Docks team, and that's not the only thing he does. He does so much more than that for every department, division, other departments and divisions in the city beyond public works. Next to him is Mr. Eric Turk. Mr. Eric, you all know Mr. Eric Turk. He does so many things beyond his normal duties, including special events. He's our fleet manager. He manages our welding and fabrication shop. Just so many things that he does that we really appreciate it. Behind me, I have Ms. Shekinah Merritt. Shekinah Merritt is the reason that the Division of Streets is able to embrace technology. Without her, it would be so much more difficult to get people to understand and embrace technology and use technology. Not just have it, but use it correctly. And so she's like the teacher of the division. She teaches everybody how to do it and do it correctly, and she holds everyone accountable. And then finally, I got Miss Idrea Hill, who manages my day-to-day activities. She's our office manager in room 25. And I think she manages me as well. But mainly she works with each and every one of you for your resurfacing program. So I think you all know her. You all have your own, you all have your own personal relationships with Idrea. So those are just 4 people I wanted to bring out of the staff of about 334. And of our 334, I heard mention of vacancies. We've only got 10 full-time vacancies at this time, and 7 of those will be filled before the end of the month. So the remaining 3, we're waiting on personnel requests. So we're pretty fully staffed, and especially as we get ready to go into leaf season in the winter. Moving forward, I don't know where we are with the slides, but I think you all are pretty familiar with most of all of our programs. I'll just run through them real quick. And then I'll take any questions you may have. But of course, we're getting ready for leaf season, so we have our leaf program gearing up. We tend to begin at the beginning of November, and we'll run it all the way through January as weather permits, and then beyond that if need be. But we're going to continue to pick up leaves as normal, so that's not an issue for this year. We got our snow and ice control program that we're currently gearing up for. We're starting to put the plows on the trucks. All of the trucks through our Friends and Motor Vehicles have been PM'd or preventive maintenance has been performed, and our fleet is in good shape and ready to go. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in terms of enhancements. Our street resurfacing crews are wrapping up the program for this year. We've done over 194 residential streets, and they're wrapping it up this within the next 2 to 3 weeks, and we'll be done for the season. And I'm pleased to report that we'll also be expanding that program next year to take on not just 14 wards, but all 17 wards. Hopefully we could do it at a better cost and lower the price and get you more square yardage. That's what we're attempting to do. We have our illegal dumping team, and I think you all have met Mr. Campbell and know that our illegal dumping initiative has really been successful. We've done over 4,000 locations, and we pretty much average that each year for the last 3 years. So I'm very proud of what we've been able to accomplish with the illegal dumping team. We also perform other things like maintenance, crack sealing. We have bridge operation and repair under Mr. Leggins here. We also have our guardrail installation and repair under Mr. Turk here, and the graffiti abatement crews. And one thing the director's on me about trying to get more staffing on graffiti abatement. But right now we're limited to what we can do in terms of just the public right-of-way and any offensive graffiti that may show up in the city. But other than that, that's one area where we probably need to grow our staff a little bit more, that we're working toward that. In terms of program expansions, I'm pleased that, as I mentioned, we're going to increase our resurfacing crews by 2 crews, which will take us from 2 to 3 crews on street resurfacing, and that 4th crew is going to be dedicated to putting in speed tables. So we're the crew, those that are approved by traffic engineering, we will install those. We did about 100 this year. We're on pace to do another 100 next year, but they have to be approved again by my colleague in traffic engineering, and we'll move forward. We want to increase our concrete repair crews. We found that our concrete crews have taken on a new challenge. They're doing much more finish work than we have done in the past. Before, we just did cave-ins, undermines. Those were bulk pours, holes in the street, fixing the base of the streets. Now we're doing all kind of finish work. We're assisting MVM with their 50/50 sidewalk program. We're doing more curbs and sidewalks, ADA ramp installations, trench drains, things of that nature. So we're going to want to expand that program. And I just want to say, and I've said this to the director publicly, I really appreciate that the division appreciates the support we've been given, not only with additional personnel, but additional equipment. Over $4 million of resurfacing equipment helped us make this expansion possible. And that's over the last 2 years. We've got a brand new concrete truck, which makes us able to enhance our concrete crews as well. We're getting new and more equipment for snow removal. The director is pushing us toward the component of de-icing and pre-wetting of salt material, which will enhance our ability to provide more quality service in snow removal and be more proactive instead of being reactive to every snowstorm. So those are areas that we tend to expand. We're buying 2 more brine machines, which will give us a total of 4, and hopefully next year we'll have 1 at every station with a total of 6. So, and the director might want to speak to that a little bit more, but because he's a guru of pre-icing and pre-wetting, de-icing. But and so I'm taking his lead on that one. But we're ready for the snow removal services that we're going to provide this winter. I'm sorry. So, any questions? I'll take any other questions for Division of Streets.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Is there any questions from the streets? Councilwoman Spencer.
Thank you. Okay. I forgot how big this division is, 334 employees. Oh my goodness. Okay. So And thank you for bringing your team, Commissioner, and we thank you. We thank all of you very much. So my question through our chair to the Commissioner is, do we know if my ward, Ward 15, was that Division of Streets resurfacing this year, or was I still MOCAP? Do we happen
This
to know?
year, your award was done by MOCAP.
Okay. So I just want to share a brief story because I love the idea of us doing all 17 wards. That's fantastic. We got this. But this is the first year that streets resurfacing went really well in my ward. So I just want to pass along the best practice that whichever vendor was awarded the contract this year by MOCAP, they did a fantastic job. So I'd love to come and meet with you, Commissioner, and with Ms. Hill, and just talk about what they did for public notification, and the whole process was seamless. And I was like, residents just loved it. So it was really interesting to observe the difference with prior vendors that MOCAP had engaged in prior years, and this year it was really good. So worth passing that along. But very glad to hear that we're going to be growing our capacity to do all of our wards, and also very excited. Listen, I don't have a lot of questions, I just have a lot of comments today. I don't know where this is coming from, but glad to hear that we have a fourth crew dedicated to the speed tables, which continue to be extremely popular amongst residents, just high demand. Mr. Chair, I believe we are still using some carryover funding from this year to get speed tables covered next year, but we're going to have to figure out how to keep those funded because they're so popular amongst residents. And then just a quick anecdote too, an extra thank you through the chair to Mr. Turk. We all know you, but listen, there's things big and small, seen and unseen that get done, a lot of thankless tasks, and I really want to thank and recognize Mr. Turk for being so responsive to all those little things that really improve the quality of life in the community. And the graffiti program is a big one, I have to say. Makes a really big difference. So
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman. Are there any other questions for streets? Danny, Councilman Kelly.
Through the chair to the team, I just want to thank you. I deal with a lot of your people quite a bit, and they're always very responsive, and sometimes I feel like when I catch them walking down the hall, they want to disappear, because when I see them, I always have something to ask. But everybody always goes the extra mile for the residents. I appreciate the fact that you brought your people, that you acknowledge your people. You know, I think this past Saturday I got my 45-year pin for Laborers Local 310. So it means a lot when the people you work for acknowledge the people that are doing the work. So thank you for that very much.
Thank you, Councilman.
I'd like to say something. I know I can't
Councilwoman.
tell anything. Thank you, Chair. I just want to thank Commissioner Scott on the great job that he has been doing with me with the process of resurfacing, giving me all the information and all the attention with your staff, with your assistant. How you doing? Yeah, a great department. And I'm not for sure if Commissioner Mavick been to the table, but I love you guys. So that's all I'm saying.
Thank you, Councilman.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Gray. All right, Commissioner, thank you very much. We appreciate all your efforts. This is the last department?
Yes, sir.
Oh, my goodness. That's getting started.
I got a lot, sir.
Mr. Maybach, come on down, right?
Mr. Casey, I'm sorry. I'm getting to it. I haven't got to it yet. My goodness gracious.
I don't think I can top that one.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, we're gonna switch it next time, you know.
Yeah.
Give it out.
I gotta follow this, Hannah.
Good afternoon. Continuing on, this is the Division of Traffic Engineering with Commissioner Rob Mavick. One of the reasons he was a little later in the group is because he supports so many different efforts throughout the city, whether it be for the parking advancements or whether it be closing streets for when there's times for maintenance of traffic issues, the lane line painting, the crosswalk painting, the signal maintenance, all of those things that impact what all the other divisions do. So I wanted to make sure to give Commissioner Mavick an opportunity. He's brought some of his staff here today, but we wanted to really look at some of the things and the improvements that we've made in that division, and really put a spotlight on some of the things that I think you'll be proud to hear. Commissioner Mavick.
Good afternoon, everyone. I did bring 2 members of our team to meet everyone today. London Kelly, could you stand? Why don't you guys come up? Come on up. Come on, Dominic. See, these are the folks that when you send something to the division or there's a new program, these are the folks that actually implement it. London Kelly has been our science chief for almost, 5 years now? He's started in 2018, but he came to the city in 2008 as a sign marking tech, which is our beginning level position at the city of Cleveland. One of the things that he has done this year is coordinate with the Division of Parking to implement all the sign changes as it relates to the Park Mobile system. So every sign downtown that is a parking sign was changed out through his coordination with the Division of Park Maintenance, or not Park Maintenance, Parking. In that same breath, coordinated installing all of the signs citywide for the actual payment structure. There's still a little more work to be done, but basically he had been in charge of that. Also in 2024, this year, the director so graciously was able to get us a new paint rig. So that came in June?
May.
It came in May, so we're still learning the nuances of that. We're working with our IT department, Gray, I don't remember Gray's last name, but this machine actually ensures that everything that we paint is done with the actual specs that are for ley line painting, measures how much we've done per day, how much paint was used, so we have a better understanding of how we can deploy that more efficiently and get our projects done faster. At the same time, we implemented 3 new machines. We call them the buggies. These are the smaller paint rigs that allow us to go. I think everyone's seen there's a lot more pavement markings that are been placed throughout the city. A lot of times they're up against parked cars, so we can't use our paint rigs to paint those. So we've deployed these buggies that can go right next to the cars, paint that, get in and out. Allows us to use crosswalk paint, which requires no coning because the paint dries within 15 seconds. We've become much more efficient at that. The other duty that Mr. London Kelly has is coordinating through special events and other projects. So for folks who may not know, that our division, every special event that happens in the city of Cleveland, that's a city-sponsored event, and/or stadium events, and/or gateway events, we do all the postings, we make them all, and then those are deployed. So we have a booklet that we basically have to give to other divisions because we keep what we do each year. So we have a booklet of what types of signs get installed, which barricades, which roads get closed. So London manages that portion of our operation as well. Dominic Martino runs our signal shop. I probably missed something, but I'll get back to you. He came to us in 2017. Dominic had worked for a contractor for 20 years as their superintendent of the signal operation. Since Dominic's arrival, he's actually allowed us to fix, update, upgrade basically all of our traffic lights in the city of Cleveland. Through his leadership, all of our signals all have brand new power connections. We've begun to meter a lot of our traffic signals so that we understand what those costs are and what it takes. It was his idea to move from, I think everyone around the tables had calls or complaints that the school flashers don't come on. So we moved from an operation to a predetermined time when these lights come on. So we've probably reduced our complaints by 30 or 40%. It's not something that we've calculated, but so all the school signs have been updated. The other thing Dominic runs is the radar feedback sign program. We do need to work on that because I know there's some questions about it. We're getting some of our, how do we deploy them? We're streamlining that a little bit. So we've been working on that. That's a place that we do need to get better at. A lot of that is on our administration downtown, but we'll deal with that. Also, he's in charge of making sure that the speed counters go out each week. We do 10 speed counts and traffic counts, and that's part of the speed table program. I almost forgot what it was, but it's been on my brain. So on that, I'll open it up unless the director has additional information.
Questions? Okay, all right. Is there any questions for the Division of Traffic Engineering? I know you want to say something about Commissioner Mavick. Right? Any other questions?
Questions/comments.
Comments. Any other comments?
Okay.
We can go for you, Councilwoman Gray.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to say, Commissioner Maverick, you've been so attentive to the residents in Ward 4, getting a lot of things done pertaining to the traffic lights, dealing with the accidents when the traffic lights are down. You patiently wait till the service from one of the utility companies come out to take care of their part. Then you come to take care of your part. You have answered questions with the concerns of the constituents, dealing with the accident because they thought that the traffic signal was off. This is why you have accidents. And he kind of explained it through a process to help me, to help the resident to understand that it's not the traffic light that cause accidents, it's people cause accidents. But it's just how he's so patient, so forthcoming to give me the attention and take the time to help me understand how to explain to the residents on a lot of things. And I also want to thank you for Chair. I want to thank the Commissioner always coming out into the community, viewing what needs to be done, like like signals or signage, or maybe street painting or something to that effect. So I just want to say thank you to you and your team.
Yep. Thank you, and to the council member. One of the things that we're going to be working on over the next couple months is really working with our partners at utilities to come up with high volume locations when we do have, and this kind of comes out of lessons learned from the storm, where are these areas that we can deploy generators temporarily until we get things up and running. So we'll be working with our partners to see how we roll that out citywide. Now, there's not enough generators to power every traffic light during emergencies. Okay. But where are the key locations, or where is it more problematic, like on your ward, like Moreland and Buckeye? That would be a key location, those types of things. Correct. Yeah.
Mount Pleasant or Mount Luther King Drive in Kinsman. That is a traffic. Waiting for another traffic accident. That is just horrendous. So that area and stuff also needs to be looked at. I want to thank, and also one thing, Chair, to the Commissioner, Cali did come back and put a slow structure on one of the poles between Martin Luther King and Kinsma and to like 100 and like 103rd in Kinsma. She put a slow traffic, like a slow structure on one of the poles. When she came to the community meeting last month and she listened to the residents in that area because we have so much speeding traffic from Martin Luther King to 93rd. So she did come back and put a slow structure of a speeding sign on that pole.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we put it up. We put it up, so thank you, and the residents are happy, but they also now asking, could a second one be put on the opposite side of the street? Sure. Could that happen?
Yeah, just send an email to Rob and we can take care of it.
Well, yeah, and again. Well, all right, go away now. No, I think what's important, I think you bring up a really good point that I probably needed to mention a little bit earlier. Our division works collaboratively with Cali, who actually works out of the mayor's office, and through planning and MOCAP. And one of the things that we have weekly meetings looking at issues that we can improve safety. And I think some of the folks around the table have seen some of the different things that have been implemented over the past year, which whether it be the delineator posts or changing the traffic lights sequence. Actually, we're just finishing up a project today over off 123rd. I think it was a Councilman Conwell complaint about safety because there's a weird drive access. Those are things that now that Dominic has our system under control, those are things that we're able to really focus in on more, the quality of life issues, the safety issues, as it relates to a lot of these intersections. So that's a collaboration between MOCAB, planning, the mayor's office, and our divisions.
All right, well, thank you for that. Appreciate it, President Dustin.
Okay, Councilwoman Gray.
I'll send you that email.
Okay, thank you, Councilwoman Gray. Councilwoman Spencer.
Thank you to you, Mr. Chair, for doing such a good job today. I know we're reaching the end of today's hearing, and I also have appreciated having so many outstanding public servants at the table today. Thank you all so much for what you do for Cleveland and Clevelanders. It's really been wonderful to hear from everybody. And it's wonderful. I'm very fortunate to know London. London, we think you're fantastic. You big fans in the Ward 15 Council office. Very nice to meet Dominic today. So thank you, Commissioner Mabeck. And Commissioner, you are an exemplary public servant. You work so hard for the citizens. So thank you. I wanted to ask, just kind of along the lines of what Councilwoman Gray was asking about, if we wanted to get a turn signal evaluated for left-hand turns, adding those kinds of things, Commissioner Mabeck, is that through you that we would put those requests?
Chair, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
In fact, I think we just implemented one in Ward 15, I believe.
Oh, good.
Lorraine and 65th.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That happened?
Northbound, southbound, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we did it on
Tuesday.
Okay, that's huge. Thank you
But again,
so much.
through the chair to the council member, that came through that collaborative group. I know the email came in a few months ago, so those are things that we discuss as part of like a maintenance group and our planning group weekly about how do we make improvements, how do we actually program them in a way that we can get them completed.
That's great. That's great to hear more about the process, and that's great news today. I can't wait to go check it out. And I also wanted to say, through our chair with Dominic at the table, the new technology for the signals at 65th and Franklin, so Franklin Boulevard at 65th, it's that, you've tried to teach me, Commissioner, the terminology, but it's the new, people can't time the lights anymore. They can't race between lights because anyway, it's really great. So just recommend the continued use of that technology.
Is that what we put the radar?
No, we put in free.
Oh,
I can't, do you remember the name of the technology?
So that's so that signal has all activation, push buttons and detection. Again, now that we've stabilized our system, meaning there's very little maintenance, those are things that we're looking to do everywhere. Again, that was part of the project that we just did today, so that pedestrians aren't waiting as long. There's no, especially on some areas where there's less traffic and the citizens or residents are sitting on the side street forever because the light's not changing. We're trying to reverse that. So when you approach, it changes almost immediately or within a few seconds versus waiting for it to stay on that same trajectory and then change over in a minute.
So I want to really again recognize this division for innovating and continuing to evolve and embrace these new approaches and technologies. It's also part of Vision Zero and traffic safety. I've noticed my own behaviors as a driver have changed as a result of some of these new technologies, and I really appreciate that and want to recognize that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Spencer. Councilman Danny Kelly.
I just want to say thank you to all of you. I'll have to dig a little more in to find out why you're the guru of de-icer. Guru of de-icer, though, a story I need to hear. But Brother Mabeck, you and your crew, I appreciate you. Just like everybody, you know, it's nice to see the people who do the work and oversee the people who do the work come here before us, because we got a lot of great hands out there working for the city of Cleveland. It's nice to see somebody who, I think I'm adding, you've been here about 15 years, you started at the various, and now you're overseeing people. As somebody who, you know, worked with my hands in the field, it's great to work with somebody who actually did the work. You know, they understand everything, and so kudos to you. Thank you all, I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
All right, Director, I want to thank you for bringing your team and your whole crew here. It was a great experience. I want to thank TV20 for coming out. I know you guys had to work extra hard to make all that, move all that equipment and that technology and that expertise. I'd like to thank the crew, the staff of Stella Walsh. I know it's not every day that all these folks, new folks, come into the center. So I want to thank Stella Walsh. Also, I want to thank our city council staff. Brooke, you've been absolutely amazing. Joe, everybody that was here, that's not here, all the members for showing up. Thank you all. And so this committee of MSP Budget Operational Review Hearings is hereby adjourned. All right. Good job.